Part 32. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 311. At this moment, listening to the old ghost's words, not to mention Mokayan was stunned, but countless people in the world were also stunned. That's it? Is this the belief of Laogui, a formal member? That's it? How did this old ghost get through the stone? Does this make you a member? No way. Is Blue and White Society's screening so simple? Can I become a member now? I really can't believe it. Is that all? Did I miss it? Is this thing actually very simple? At this time, countless people looked at the Deo Golden List with some confusion, looking at everything that happened in the picture. They never expected that it was like this. At this time, in the picture, Mokayan was also puzzled. He looked at the old ghost with suspicion and disbelief. He just wanted to make his hometown a better place, that's all. Is it that simple? Isn't the purpose of the shelter to recruit members to have some consideration for all mankind? Or the determination to be a hero, and even to make sure that there are no more shelters in the world? What the hell does this make my hometown better? The old ghost looked at Mokayan and smiled. When it is a lifelong pursuit, will it is enough if it is implemented as always, otherwise, what do you think? Mokayan was a little embarrassed. Until now, he finally understood that the Blue and White Society was really not too strict in this regard. If it really has to comply with the purpose of the Blue and White Society, why is it for the sake of all mankind? Ending the era of containment. It's all nonsense. If that's really the case, how many people in this world meet the requirements? All. This pursuit can be accepted as long as it's normal, protective, and seems responsible. Mokayan said speechlessly, I thought it had to fully meet the requirements of being a member of the Blue and White Club. The old ghost chuckled. You may not be able to become a member if you have too lofty ideals. In fact, these 230 lofty ideals may even deviate from reality, go too extreme and go astray, or even use blue and white to achieve it by means that society cannot tolerate. Generally speaking, normal ideals are enough. Mokayan nodded. Finally he understood. In addition to eliminating some people who are really not suitable to become official members, our ideal stone is also used to identify spies. Or check to see if any members have been affected, the old ghost explained. Mokayan thought for a while and suddenly asked, what if there is really a spy mixed into the Blue and White Club? That doesn't matter. The old ghost smiled again. So what if he is a spy of the conspiracy organization? As long as he follows the order of the Blue and White Society throughout his life, then he is a brother. No matter what he thinks in his heart, at least he has spent his whole life implementing the purpose of the Blue and White Society. Those with lofty ideals may not necessarily become members, but those who do not have lofty ideals, as long as they are in a kind and orderly camp, are very likely to become members. Tisk, Mokayan nodded to express his understanding. The situation, the old ghost said, was actually the same as him. He has the characteristic of absolute hit. He was not honest or honest. But he is still willing to join the Blue and White Club and become a member. Just because he wanted to do his part. His not confessing does not mean that he does not trust the Blue and White Society. He just knows what the Blue and White Society is like. Once he confesses, he may become a Lemiter again. By then, even if his abilities appear safe and harmless, he will not be able to. It means he is harmless. Only after becoming a member of the club, or even becoming an elucidator, and gaining everyone's recognition, will he choose to confess everything. Because, by then, even if he has the power to destroy the world, he will still be trusted. Because he has proven everything with his actions. He will take several years, 10 years, or even decades to prove himself. Of course, this is all a story for later. However, to be honest, the screening of club members is very strict. Whether it is ability, mentality, or other circumstances, you may be persuaded to quit. There are very few people who can become real club members. Come on, it's a good thing if you can pass. I don't blame you if you can't. After all, it's very difficult. However, I just hope that you will never be sent back within a month or two, the old ghost said with a smile. Mo Kyung twitched the corner of his mouth. After that, after confirming the signature, Mo Kyung took the plane and left Meng Island and went to another place. This time, the escort was David. Well, the superiors gave him a relaxing job, so he felt relaxed. However, the plane did not go to Extreme Island immediately, but went to pick up a few people first. During this period, Mo Kyung also asked some about David's situation. Unexpectedly, David passed the examination at the age of 15 and became a member of the club with full marks in the compulsory subjects. This naturally made Mo Kyung speechless. This can no longer be described as a genius. But according to David, Extreme Island, every one of the members who came out was a genius. But in front of the containment objects, what did these geniuses mean? Some people died in the first year of becoming members, and some were even worse, dying on the fourth day after becoming official members. Now, even a genius is vulnerable in front of a contained object. Mo Kyung was also mentally prepared for this. Soon, the plane landed and took off again and again. One after another, there were many more people on the plane. They come in batches. There are as few as 7 or 8, and as many as more than 10. Moreover, the planes that pick people up are not just Mo Kyung's flight. There are also other flights in different regions to pick up people. Every year there is a need. About 8,000 people were trained. These 8,000 people were trained once in March, April to June, and July to September. Mo Kyung happened to catch up with the July to September batch. Accompanied by batches of people 3 planes later, Mo Kyung also discovered that these people came from all professions, including men and women, but most of them were young people, and only a handful were over 30. Mo Kyung did not pay too much attention, nor did he talk to David Go Talk. He sat on the plane, just waiting silently. Finally, the plane landed. And this time, he finally arrived at the destination. As soon as he got off the plane, Mo Kyung felt very hot. It was a tropical island again. Mo Kyung shook, shaking his head and thinking no more. He followed the crowd and went to a place called the General Affairs Agency to take the test. There was only one ideal stone, and everyone had to wait in line. Mo was so poor that he really wanted to see what the ideal stone was. Unfortunately, that thing was in a closed room. He had no choice but to wait in line. There were many white people in front of him. This batch should be from Australia. Just wait. If you are eliminated, someone will naturally send you back. David said something to Mo Kyung and others, and then he ran away, not knowing what he was doing. Mo Kyung didn't pay attention, and just looked at everyone in the waiting area. Most of them were Chinese. This is normal, after all. The population base is there. Then, next, Mo Kyung saw a lot of strange ideals. Some people want to have 10 wives. Some people want to marry a certain female star. Wait. There is no doubt that these people were all brushed off. Soon, we arrived at Mo Kyung. Mo Kyung took a deep breath and walked in. He followed the club member closer to the house. Soon, Mo Kyung saw a huge stone. The stone looked ordinary. No wonder, it's just like a big rock that was dug up randomly. At this time, the member said, you don't have to think about it deliberately, any psychological hints are meaningless, just put your hand on it, and it will be revealed in a while. Mo Kyung did as he was told. He had no choice but to come to this point. Even if he was a salty fish, he still recognized it. When he put his hand on the stone, he didn't feel any strange feeling. But there was still something in his heart. Uneasy, self-righteous thoughts flashed through his mind, and even his determination for himself appeared. There is no doubt that these determinations were just made in his head. As for what he really thought, buzz. At this time, words gradually appeared on the stone. But you see, it says, I want to protect innocent people. For it, Amokayan was stunned. The club member looked at it and said strangely surprised. Doesn't it look like what you expected? What did you feel before the test? Amokayan thought for a while and said honestly. I only decided recently. After knowing the dangers of contained objects, I wanted to contribute to the survival of all mankind. I have experienced containment failures and know that if the blue and white society, if we can't hold on any longer, then the whole world will fall into chaos and disaster. I just don't want to hide behind others and watch, and I don't want to die in such a confused way. I know it's dangerous to join the society, but at least my death is worthwhile. Know why you died? Anyway, I'm not very clear about my ideals, I just want to do my part. The member smiled and said, I see. Is this a recent idea? It doesn't matter, the emotions of human beings are very complicated, and many people in the world are confused, so there will always be some mediocre pursuits, but that is the reality. Well, that's not to say how it is true that you will grow after experiencing it. Now, you don't have to be confused, implement your beliefs and keep going. You passed. As the club member finished speaking, Amokayan was still a little confused, and he walked out of the room in a daze. Seeing Amokayan's reaction, others thought he had failed. When they saw Amokayan going in the wrong direction, someone reminded him. As a result, as soon as the members came out, they said that he had passed. Everyone was dumbfounded. Good guy, why are you pretending to be stupid? Who wouldn't be confident and happy when he passed? But when Amokayan came here, he started acting cute. Everyone was speechless. But that's because they didn't know the situation. At this time, Amokayan was thinking about his own ideals and his lifelong pursuit. The reason why he was stunned was because of that ideal. There were a lot of random thoughts in his mind before. It seems that when he pressed the stone, he was thinking about a line from a game character. That line was, I want to protect innocent people. In other words, this ideal was shot by him. He passed the first test by cheating. Sigh. He smiled bitterly in his heart. To be honest, he really wanted to see what his inner pursuit was. Even if it is salted fish, he will recognize it. But now, I passed it in a daze. However, Amokayan is not a hypocritical person. Now that he has seen his ideal, although it is not his real ideal. However, just follow what the club member said, implement it and execute it. By then, this will become his ideal. Just do it. Do it for this goal. Even if the ideal is false, he can make it true. Amokayan's eyes gradually became firm. Soon, Amokayan arrived at the rest area for passers-by. Later, many people also came on the same plane as him. Many people were smiling and waiting patiently. About half an hour later, the test was finally over. 3 members came in, each holding a list, and began to call the names one by one. Those whose names were called went behind their respective club members. The first member read out more than 30 names. The second read hundreds of names. After these people left, those who were left were naturally led by the last member. There were more than 200 people left at the scene, and Amokayan was among them. The club member looked around and said, My name is Yibo. From this moment on, I will be your chief officer once you know your special training status. Now, all follow me. As he said that, he brought everyone leaves. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, and they haven't even eaten yet, but obviously, from this moment on, the characteristics have already begun. Amokayan followed the crowd. Soon, We arrived at a beach formation. More than 200 people took 5 minutes to line up. At Yibo's request, they were divided into 2 groups. Yibo stood in the middle, with his hands behind his back, and said calmly, "You came to Extreme Island through selection and recommendation, with the purpose of becoming members of the Blue and White Club. You among them, there are soldiers, employees, businessmen, and workers, but no matter how successful you have been before, coming here and becoming the newcomers of my 6th group means that you are receiving training for the first time, and my experience in the periphery has not exceeded 1 year. You are pure newcomers." Amo Kyung suddenly realized. It turns out that the classification is based on experience. He had been thinking before, those who took the 2nd assessment, the 3rd assessment, or even those who were infinitely close to the members, but were brushed off because of a small flaw and were re-examined, how would a pure newcomer like him compare? There is no way to train them together. After all, one is a rookie and the other is a veteran. Although they are both birds, there are still differences. 0.4 is now clear. According to experience, it is normal. At this time, I heard Yibo continue, "Tomorrow you will have basic training to test your arts, science, engineering, shooting, driving, fighting, physical fitness, reaction, and will. This is a preliminary examination, which will take a comprehensive consideration of your all-round comprehensive quality. The evaluation you get will also be your basic score for all future assessments and even graduation assessments." Yibo said, turning to look at the tropical rainforest on the left, and smiled. "Now, you only need to consider the time for eating. Today's dinner was put on a boat by me, and that boat is on the seaside on the other side of this forest, is 1 kilometer away from the coast. Only those who get on the boat have food to eat. After eating, you will be fine. I will arrange for you to stay. Everyone, take a rest early." Everyone? Amo Kyung. What the hell is this? When everyone looks at the forest, it is at least 2 or 3 kilometers long, right? Add in the 1 kilometer of sea area mentioned by Yibo, and it becomes 4 kilometers. Let's have a meal, run so far? Moreover, when they get to the beach, there is no doubt that there must be no boat. In other words, they have to swim there by themselves. Damn it, run 2 or 3 kilometers first, and then swim 1 kilometer before eating. Serving food. Oh, by the way, I remember some of you can't swim, Yibo smiled. Those who couldn't swim all looked at Yibo, waiting for Yibo's next words. Come to think of it, there should be a solution. Unexpectedly, Yibo smiled mischievously and said, "It's your business not to know how to swim. If you're afraid of drowning, well, just go hungry." At this time, everyone was dumbfounded. Amo Kyung was speechless. Is this the training for becoming a formal member of the Blue and White Club? This is only the first day, is it so exciting? Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 312. There is no doubt that the test begins on the first day. Countless people from all over the world looked at the scene that happened on the screen in amazement. Good guy, is this the training of the Blue and White Club? To have a meal, you have to run 3 kilometers and swim another kilometer? It won't work, and you still have to starve. Is this training just average? That's all it looks like. Indeed, I also feel that this training is just like that, and it doesn't seem to have much effect. After all, if you do it too hastily, your body will be damaged. If you run like crazy today, you will have ligament strains and muscle soreness tomorrow. Delay training. I feel like there should be some other relief medicine in this Blue and White Society training, right? Drug. Haha, it is a drug that is 3-part toxic. Maybe it can be cured for a short period of time, but over time, it will still become resistant to the drug. Anyway, I feel that this will not last long. Tisk, whether he lasts long or not, you will find out after watching it. At this time, everyone was talking. And in the picture, accompanied by Yibo's beating. It doesn't matter whether you can swim or not, so what? That is their own business. If not, then they will be hungry. Wait. Fair. Haha, there has never been anything fair or unfair in this world. If you don't do it, that's your business. If others do, that's someone else's business. When you are doing other things, whether it is playing games or earning money, you think it's unfair when others are learning to swim when you have money, but when they are learning to swim, you still think it's unfair that you don't play games and don't make money. Who can blame this? You can only blame yourself. Does anyone have any more questions? Yibo looked at everyone. I have a question. At this time, a woman spoke up and reported, I think something is unfair. Yibo looked at the woman. At the same time, everyone present also looked at the woman. Yibo has made it so clear, do you still think it's unfair? However, just listening, the woman said they can't swim because they don't have the ability, but the difference between men and women is not a matter of ability. I won't talk about physical strength. However, I am too fierce, and it seriously affects me. I can persist in strenuous exercise today, but my goal is to become a formal member, and I can persist in special training in the future. However, this is too fierce and has become a very disadvantageous burden. Is this fair? Accompanying as the woman spoke, Mo Kyan couldn't help but subconsciously glance at the girl's murder weapon. Good guy, it's really big. At least there is D, or even bigger. There were many women present, but she was the biggest. At this time, a young man next to him muttered, who's to blame? Aren't female soldiers in the army still treated equally? Well, many people present had the same idea as this young man. However, Yibo smiled and said, Yan Wei, right? You are right, this is indeed unfair, and we have indeed prepared measures to deal with it. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Even Mo Kyan was surprised. Can this thing be solved? Just listen, Yibo continued, in other places, there is no way to solve it, but here, you can apply to store your evil, and it will be returned to you when you leave Extreme Island. For it. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. What the hell is this? Even though there are only peripheral members present, and many of them have even worked for several months, their knowledge of contained objects is still not high. I never expected that there would be such a weird contained object. Even Yan Wei was a little surprised. She was just looking for trouble. Who knew there was such a thing? But at this time, Yibo heard that he said calmly, in the blue and white club, there are also some powerful female members. When they are weak and undergo rigorous training, they will use a kind of containment object to shrink the evil. This is a relatively safe containment item, and it has been used on club members very early. You can call it an image adjuster. Its plastic surgery functions are richer than face shaping, and it covers all parameters of the human body. Of course, it can at most be adjusted to the limits of the human body. For example, you can be as tall as the tallest person in the world, or as short as the shortest person in the world. The same goes for other places. The reason why it is called storage is mainly because this contained object is not on the Extreme Island, but in another place. Therefore, on the Extreme Island, it can only be stored using its only remote function, and the places that need to be changed on you can be forcibly changed. It becomes the minimum, and when you change it back, it also returns to the original size and cannot be changed freely. As Yibo told it, everyone was thoughtful. Mo Kyan subconsciously muttered, it's like a bank. What do you see? Yibo was very keen and caught Mo Kyan's muttering. Mo Kyan hesitated, but he had no choice but to say, when you say storage, I think of a bank. Storing things there is like depositing money. The data of the body will it become a value as the price for members to use this contained object. The members over there are adjusting the body parameters, and some organs are being stored here, so that a certain balance can be achieved. I think if you use it blindly, it will destroy some kind of balance and some kind of problems will occur. Is this the versatility of this containment object? With Mo Kyung's words, Yibo was also a little surprised. He looked at the list, and then smiled. I haven't noticed before that there is a limiter in this class. Oh. Mo Kyung? Also experienced a containment breach. Yes, you have a deep understanding of containment objects. At this time, as Yibo's words fell, many people present looked at Mo Kyung, a little surprised. Some people may not know the restrictor. After all, some people were directly recommended. But the containment failure was it's very clear. No matter how new you are, you have to join Blue and White now that you have become a formal member. How can you not understand the crisis that the Blue and White Society is guarding against? Containment failure, contained objects went wild. To put it bluntly, a lot of people are going to die. Who would have thought that among their group of pure newbies, there would be such an incredible person? Mo Kyung felt the eyes of the people around him and twitched the corner of his mouth. Good guy, it seems like, except for him and this instructor, no one has ever experienced a containment breach. However, if you think about it, those who have experienced a containment breach are probably not just newcomers. Mo Kyung has never been a peripheral player. If he had been a peripheral player for a few months, he might have become one of the first two groups. And now, Yibo didn't care what others thought, looked at Mo Kyung, and said with a smile, you are right, that containment object does have some characteristics in this regard, so storing the burden on yourself is not only I'm helping myself, and I'm also providing some resources in the club. Don't worry, it's very safe. This has been proven, otherwise you wouldn't be allowed to use it. So, decide now. If you dislike yourself for being fierce, you can smooth it out. It can be done right away in the room next to you. Well, of course, if a man feels that something is a burden to him, he can also store it. As Yibo finished speaking, all the 40 or so women left, no matter how big or small. With such convenience, who wouldn't use it? No matter how small, it is still a burden, right? As for the remaining men, well, none of them said a word. Yes. Nonsense, if that thing is stored, how can you solve the 3 urgent needs? Soon, those women came back. Some have changed a lot, and some, well, have not changed much. The women who have changed a lot feel everything about the light body is a bit novel. If you want. Who still has questions? Looking at the women returning to the team, Yibo asked again. Without saying anything, Mo Kyung took out the sundries on his body and put them on the ground. A mobile phone, wallet, and the like. He had been taken to Meng Island like this before, and he had some sundries on his phone. There are things like that. He came here right after he left Meng Island. Who knows, he didn't even have time to put away the sundries until now. Anyway, the things won't be lost if they are placed here. So he put them down. And when people saw Mo Kyunfang, they started to take out their belongings one by one. Ready to go, at this time, a bald white man asked. Ken, Yibo nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, the white man and many guys who looked like soldiers rushed out of the team and got into the jungle. They walked fast and had good foundation, so naturally they didn't care about this. The ordinary 3 to 5 kilometers is also easy for them. Obviously, the rest of the people are really incomparable to these guys. Seeing those soldiers running out, Mo Kyung and others also started to trot. They didn't need to run so fast. After all, it is only 3 to 5 kilometers. Those soldiers have confidence, and this level of test is naturally not a problem for them. But the poor people in Mo must save their physical strength, otherwise it will be terrible to jump into the sea. Yes. Of course, Mo Kyung is actually okay. After all, he has a twice strengthened heart, so running is quite easy. Moreover, he also has the deep diver effect, so swimming is not a big problem. However, he is still jogging. No rush. No rush. He still doesn't believe that the food prepared in the boat is still limited. While Mo Kyung was jogging, at this moment, a man came forward, looked at Mo Kyung, and asked with a smile, "Your name is Mo Kyung, right?" Is there a problem? Mo Kyung glanced at that guy. "It's nothing, just to meet you, my name is Du Xiao," the man said. Du Xiao? Well, this is actually the one who said he couldn't swim before and felt it was unfair. As for running up to get to know each other now, there is no doubt that it is because Mo Kyung has experienced a containment failure. Mo Kyung glanced at Du Xiao and said, "You can't swim, why are you running with me?" "I can't swim, but I can't do nothing, right?" Du Xiao smiled bitterly. "Did you see that those few haven't set off yet? They don't know how to swim." Mo Kyung pointed to the beach. At this time, he could see that there were several people staying on the beach, and some of them were talking and laughing with the instructor. "Do you still remember that the instructor emphasized it twice in a row? If you can't swim, you'll be hungry," Mo Kyung said. Then Du Xiao nodded. "I know, this is a hint that we can skip this meal. This is not a mandatory task. If we don't eat this meal, we will not die or be eliminated. On the contrary, there is no such thing. Those who have the ability to force themselves into the sea are the ones who are really seeking death." "Oh? Mo." Kyung looked at Du Xiao with some surprise. "Since you understand, why are you running along?" There is no doubt that this is a multiple choice question. People must be self-aware. However, Du Xiao still shook his head. "Those who cannot swim and are forced to go into the sea are indeed destined to die, but this does not mean that we can stand still and wait. No, it is useful to say that what cannot be accomplished is the second stage, 983, but before that, we still need to run." Mo Kyung looked at Du Xiao with some surprise. "It seems that you are considering the instructor's other intention." "Yes, the instructor did say that you can starve if you are afraid of drowning, but he didn't say that you don't have to go through the woods if you are afraid of drowning." "Got it? Just because you can't swim doesn't mean you don't have to walk through the woods. To put it more broadly, it means that you know it's a fatal mission, but you don't even have the attitude to take a look at it." Du Xiao nodded. "Yes, I can't swim, but I can't do nothing. Even if I end up at the beach, it's better than stopping at the starting point." Mo Kyung looked at Du Xiao and smiled. This Du Xiao is also somewhat spiritual. Yibo made it clear that this is a test, and the test now is definitely not as simple as who gets to eat first. After all, among them, the physical fitness varies. But it is not clear what the specific test is. Different people have different answers in their minds. Those who can't swim and still run, they probably think, they can't. Swimming does not mean that there is no need to go. Even if they stop at the sea, they still have their attitude. This is what they guess the instructor's deeper meaning. But those who stayed where they were thinking, this meal can be skipped, it is not a compulsion, it is a task, but a task to recognize oneself clearly, and tell them not to pretend to understand, and not to act recklessly without knowing something. It can be said that everyone has his or her own thoughts. I actually didn't try to figure out the instructor's intentions, and I didn't plan to stay at the beach. Suddenly, Du Xiao opened his mouth and said, Mo Kyung looked sideways at Du Xiao and said, "What? You can't swim, and you plan to cross the sea by force? Oh. You want to express the spirit of sacrifice? But such a trivial matter cannot test the spirit of sacrifice. If you risk your life for a random test, then your life is too worthless. This is not called sacrificial spirit, it is reckless, or even deliberately catering. However, Du Xiao scratched his head and said, "Well, I don't mean to deliberately cater to you. Instructor, I don't even think about what they are testing. I don't want to cross the sea by force. I just want to get into the sea and learn to swim." Mo Qian was stunned. He was a little surprised. Hearing this, Du Xiao continued, "Anyway, you have to become a formal employee. You must learn the basic skills of swimming, right? Anyway, if you want to learn, you might as well start from now. Isn't Extreme Island just for us to learn our skills? It doesn't matter even if you are eliminated. Anyway, if you learn more, you will master one more skill. If you learn it, it is still mine. If you fail the test today, then you will take the test tomorrow. If you fail the test tomorrow, then you will take the test the day after tomorrow. Along with continuous learning, continue to accumulate. One day, I can pass the assessment and become a formal member." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 313. At this time, countless people looked at everything that happened in the Dao Golden List, which was a little strange. This kid is quite spiritual. This guy is not bad. If he were in our world, Pandeo would be willing to accept him as his disciple. I wonder if they are overthinking? Maybe the instructor didn't mean anything at all. No matter what the instructor means, learning to swim is something you have mastered anyway, and this kid really knows how to live. Live clearly, yes. At this time, everyone was talking and discussing. Looking at Mo Qian and Du Xiao in the picture, they felt a little emotional. This Du Xiao is really good. But at this time, it can be seen that in the picture, accompanied by Du Xiao's words, Mo Qian raised his eyebrows slightly. What this guy said is really clear and understandable. Anyway, you come here to learn skills, swimming is also learned, and other things must be learned. Anyway, learning is enough. That was Du Xiao's attitude. At this moment, Mo Qian also figured it out in an instant. Motivated. Those who are motivated are stronger than anything else. It doesn't matter if you are weak, but if you want to become strong, that's good. Blue and white society, I never care if you are a weakling, born with a disadvantage, etc. As long as you are willing to learn, as long as you are motivated, then everything is good. No matter where you are, it is the same. Just ask if you don't understand, and learn if you don't know. What are you doing? This is what people do. Mo Qian looked at Du Xiao and said with a smile, "It seems you have a good idea. Maybe, this is what the instructor wants to see." However, Du Xiao shook his head. "I don't care what the instructor thinks, his evaluation does not allow me to deal with the contained objects. I came to Extreme Island to learn my skills. I wanted to learn to swim a few days ago, but unfortunately I still couldn't do it after practicing for a while, so I came here. My goal is to become a formal member and contain all the containment objects I see in my lifetime. If I can't even learn to swim, even if the instructor approves, I shouldn't stay." Mo Qian laughed. He found that Du Xiao was quite interesting. Moreover, what Du Xiao said was the truth. Everything he learned was his own. His belief was also very firm. At least, he had a clear goal and a clear view of himself. Positioning. The instructor's opinion is not important at all, what is important is oneself. A qualified club member is not recognized by the instructor. Being yourself is the real thing. Only by improving one's strength and then containing the containment objects is the real thing. Otherwise, no matter how many honors you get and how much praise you get from the instructors, what's the point of dying at the hands of the containment as soon as you go out? It has to be you. At this moment, Amo Kyung doesn't care about that much. Okay, anyway, just be yourself. Well, if you want to learn to swim, I'm afraid it won't be possible for a while. I'm good at swimming, so I'll teach you, Amo Kyung said with a smile. Du Xiao is good, and he doesn't mind teaching Du Xiao. It won't waste time anyway. Among the people trained on the extreme island, there is no competition at all. It doesn't mean who is being killed. If you are eliminated, your passing rate will be higher. There is no such thing. On the contrary, here, everyone is a colleague, everyone is a classmate, and a future teammate. Since we are teammates and colleagues, it is normal to help each other. Moreover, it's just a matter of effort. Really? At this time, when Du Xiao heard Amo Kyung's words, he was a little surprised and said that's great. Immediately afterwards, the two of them walked together through the forest. They had only walked a kilometer or two. Amo Kyung suddenly looked up and saw a figure floating in the air, flying across the sky. That was Yibo. Is this thing really standard equipment for club members? Amo Kyung was a little surprised. Before, he saw from Wei Lan and Luo Yi that the two of them could trample in the air. Now, he saw Yibo flying through the air. Good guy, he was really envious. It seems like this ability is the same for every club member. I really wish I could learn this skill right away. Du Xiao is also full of envy. As long as we keep training, it will be passed on to us sooner or later, Amo Kyung spoke. He also made up his mind to learn no matter what. Whether it was knowledge or these special abilities, he must learn it. The two of them immediately fell silent and ran over there with their heads down. Soon, the two of them finally ran out of the forest and saw the beach ocean over there. Sure enough, not far away, there was a brightly lit cruise ship, which was very conspicuous. And there were already many people swimming in the sea. There were also many people on the coast. Those who can't swim are watching. At the same time, not only these, Amo Kyung and the others also saw rows of apartments here. This should be the dormitory. If you choose to stay there, you may get cold, Amo Kyung grinned. Du Xiao didn't care about that and slowly walked into the sea. Du Xiao, you don't want your life. The guys on the shore were all stunned when they saw Du Xiao walking into the sea. Du Xiao had asked the instructor before, what should I do if I can't swim? At that time, the instructor mentioned Du Xiao's name and talked about it a lot. Everyone naturally knew that Du Xiao couldn't swim. Now when they saw Du Xiao walking down, everyone was shocked. At this time, Du Xiao was actually very nervous. He was afraid of water. He became very nervous just after the water reached his heart. He was afraid it didn't work. Amo Kyung also walked up, looked at Du Xiao who was so nervous, and said, didn't you learn from it? Travel with confidence, I guarantee you will be fine. Call. Du Xiao took a deep breath, and then began to try flopping in the water. Seeing the movement here, those landlubbers also came over. Listening to Amo Kyung's words and watching Du Xiao's actions, they were all a little stunned. Amo Kyung? You want to help him get on the boat? Is there a problem? Amo Kyung asked with a smile. Those landlubbers were immediately excited. Great, yes, the instructor is definitely testing our teamwork. Since you can help him, can you help us? Take us on board too, someone said. Amo Kyung was speechless. These guys, do you think they are going to send Du Xiao there? Although it is theoretically possible, but with so many people, when will he send him there? Back and forth, you sand 10 kilometers? Are you kidding me? Please ask someone else to do it, I don't have that ability. Amo Kyung curled his lips. When everyone heard this, they also knew that his request was too much. However, looking at Du Xiao, some people said strangely, then Du Xiao. He asked me to teach him how to swim, Amo Kyung said calmly. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. What the hell? Temporary study? When will you learn this? Swimming is not so easy to learn. You often have to choke a lot of water in the water before you can grasp the rhythm of breathing and swim in the water without fear of the current. Although people have buoyancy, as long as they hold their breath, they will drown in the water. If you are immortal, if things go on like this for a long time, you will be able to grasp the rhythm and raise your head to take a breath. However, the fear of water is not so easy to overcome. Some people can find the trick and learn to swim by choking twice. But some people can even choke 10 times. He can't learn even though he talks so much. This has something to do with the fear in his heart. Obviously, this Du Xiao is really afraid of water, so he can't learn. Most of the landlubbers present are like this. They feel that they can't learn in a short time. Mo Qian, he didn't care about them, he just taught Du Xiao seriously there. And Du Xiao was indeed motivated, and he also studied seriously there. In fact, Du Xiao didn't need Mo Qian to teach him, because he knew how to swim before. I've learned it before, but I just can't swim well. As soon as I started, he sank gurglingly and was still flopping around. Mo Qian picked him up casually. Mo Qian's existence was to prevent him from drowning. There was nothing to teach him. In the sky, the instructor Yibo watched silently. On the shore, others also watched silently. Finally, more than 10 minutes later, Gilialu. Du Xiao sank again, his hands flailing around in panic. Mo Qian finally couldn't stand it anymore, so he picked it up and looked at Du Xiao, who was still spitting out water. Looking at Du Xiao's frightened expression, he couldn't help but ask, "Do you have a psychological shadow? Who are you so afraid of? Or are you being raped? Mind twisted?" "It's not a twisted mind, it doesn't matter, I can overcome it," Du Xiao said. He was afraid, gritted his teeth, and plunged into the water again. But soon, he started flopping again. Mo Qian watched the whole process. Du Xiao's posture was in place, and he knew how to swim, but the only problem is that once the sea water reaches his face, he seems to have lost his mind and forgotten everything. Let alone tonight, even if he practices until tomorrow, he may not be able to learn it. As time goes by, people kept jumping into the sea and swimming to the boat. Even those women jumped into the sea. Nearly an hour later, Du Xiao still couldn't learn, not even the basic steps of treading water. He just got used to the waves hitting his face. It wouldn't look so panicked, but it still didn't work. Finally, the instructor also left and flew across the sky to the other side of the ship. The remaining landlubbers looked at Du Xiao, shook their heads and sighed. One of them said, "Du Xiao, do you think we don't want to study temporarily? If it were really that easy to learn, I wouldn't be able to swim now. This is not something that happens overnight." Du Xiao stood up from the sea, frowned, then looked at Mo Qian and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mo Qian, I've delayed you for so long, you'd better get on the boat first. I've actually made a lot of progress." "A lot of progress?" Mo Qian was speechless. He glanced at the boat again, and suddenly felt that the boat seemed to be getting closer and closer to the shore. Sure enough, as time passed, the boat really arrived at the shore. Above, those who had eaten and drank were getting off one after another. The instructor Yibo also stood at the bow of the boat, looked at everyone, and said, "You guys, come up and eat." Everyone got on the boat. It wasn't until they got on the boat that Mo Qian realized that this was not designed by Yibo, but the students who got on the boat first took the initiative. It was Yan Wei and several others who got on the boat. After getting off the ship and having dinner, we didn't wait in the rest area. Instead, we walked around the whole ship, found the cockpit, and planned to drive over. But the engine was broken, so we could only pull up the anchor and follow the wind. Drifting, it reached the shore. Yibo didn't stop him. After Mo Kyung and others got on the boat, Yibo said I'll report to the apartment after eating. Then, he ran away. And this so-called dinner was actually prepared for everyone. But the dinner didn't look that good either, a piece of raw taro, and pulpy millet porridge and seafood soup. The only thing with a brand name, I am afraid there is only one rib of an unknown animal. However, it tastes very comfortable. Especially the seafood soup, although it is cold, it is warm after drinking it, as if all the fatigue has been dispelled. Sure enough, the dinner is extraordinary. Mo Kyung thought to himself. But the specific use of these things is not very clear. At this time, Yan Wei and others also came over and sat opposite Mo Kyung and the others. They were the only ones on the boat. Everyone else got off the boat. Mo Kyung looked at Yan Wei coming over and said with a smile, I heard from the instructor that it was you who got the boat to the shore? Yan Wei nodded and said this is allowed in itself. I noticed this after getting on the boat. I prepared a total of 208 minutes of dinner. The instructor actually took care of it. Regardless of whether you know how to swim or not, you can eat this meal in the end. In other words, those of us who get on the boat first can help those who can't get on the boat later. In fact, almost everyone who got on the ship was aware of this. The first soldiers who came aboard even planned to repair the engine. Unfortunately, even if they had the tools, they were not professionals and could not do anything. Oh. It seems like there should be someone on board who knows how to perform repairs. Is it just that he didn't stand up? Mo Kyung asked. Well, there definitely is. I think that in this test, everyone has to do something different. Those who are not useful can only stop at the beach. They can just do their best. Those who are capable will repair the boat and sail it over, or pull up the anchor and let it flow to the seaside. As for Yan Wei smiled, as for those who have no use for anything, just do your job well and abide by the rules. While Du Xiao was eating, he asked strangely, since there must be people who can repair ships, why don't you come forward? Yan Wei was also very strange. That's why I came to ask you, do any of you know how to repair ships? Especially it's you, Mo Kyung, you're the only one who has the ability but hasn't boarded the ship. Apparently, Yan Wei had asked many people before. Then he thought of Mo Kyung. After all, Mo Kyung was the guy who was capable but didn't get on the ship. However, Mo Kyung shook his head. At this moment, the two black men weakly raised their hands and said, well, I can do that, we are boatmen. Mo Chien was speechless. Yan Wei was also speechless. What the heck, it's not just one boatman, it's two. The key is, two guys who know how to repair ships are actually landlubbers. What the hell is this? Are you two boatmen? You two can't swim. Mo Kyung complained. The two black men were also aggrieved, who said that those who can repair boats must be able to swim, we are not sailors. Okay, invincible. Defying the heavens. Understood, Yan Wei sighed, and she finally understood. She thought who could repair the ship but didn't come forward. As it turned out, it was these two black men. But who would have thought of bringing these landlubbers on board first? Forget it, that's it anyway, there are still many unexpected things, Mo Kyung also said. Their experience is still too lacking and they have not considered all aspects. After all, they are rookies. Now they can make the ship dock. At this time, Yan Wei pointed at the taro and said, you guys, you have already eaten it. These dinners are not ordinary things, especially the taro. After eating it, there is no language barrier to communication even if we are far apart. And that soup, drinking it can speed up your physical recovery. The rest of the food is presumably related to physical fitness. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 314. Translate Kanjak. Regain your physical fitness. I knew this blue and white club was not simple. After all, it's the blue and white club, so the food will definitely not be too bad, but eating contained objects is something I didn't expect. Tisk, containment object? Is it actually a contained object that can translate any language? By the way, can this translation conjac translate the languages of all heavens and worlds? I don't know. After all, they are just a separate world, not the world view of all the worlds. However, I feel that the problem should not be big. It is like a bug. It will not be compatible with our world. This is characteristics. If Mokian can come to our world, maybe these characteristics can also play a role. At this time, everyone was looking at the Avenue Gold list and discussing. In the picture, at this time, Mokian and others had finished their meal and returned to the apartment to report. There is an administrator here. He told Mokian and the others that the rule is that you can't fight, and if you want to fight, you can only fight with him. Well, there is no benefit in fighting with him, and you will not be punished, but he will fight them with the fighting power of a real club member. To put it bluntly, the fighting power can be measured. Naturally, Mokian and others did not think about fighting Jimmy, the administrator. They packed up their belongings one by one and went to find their own rooms. There are a total of 14 or 5 suites in this dormitory, and whoever occupies it belongs to whomever. A room needs to accommodate at least 3 to 4 people. Those who go in first will naturally stand in the room first, and those who enter later can only ask to see if there are any free rooms. And these people actually it is a kind of small group, and you can choose who to enter your room. Just like Mokian, wherever he goes, he always invites Mokian to join them in the room. There is no way, Mokian's resume is really amazing. These people have not even seen how many containment objects there are, but Mokian has experienced a containment failure. It is conceivable that with this resume, who would not want to join the main team of Mokian? In the end, Mokian entered room 306. Of course, he also brought Du Xiao with him. In room 306, the other 2 people were a Chinese and a black man. The Chinese was called Yang Zhou and the black man was called Mike. It is said that Yang Zhou had been to Meng Island and prepared feed for Doughty. Of course, in fact, he just wanted to take the initiative to strike up a conversation. As for the subsequent containment failure, he had no idea. However, at this time, everyone began to report their identities and abilities, so as to get to know each other. As for Du Xiao, let alone Du Xiao, there really was no such thing. It looks so embarrassing on the surface. Du Xiao has almost no special shortcomings except swimming and using guns. He has learned everything, and even knows the historical events of more than 100 countries, as well as religion, national culture, customs and habits, etc. Wait, he can speak 9 languages, including dialects. Not to mention, this Du Xiao is really good. And that Yang Zhou works in the periphery, mainly in transportation, he knows everything about cars, ships, and airplanes. Come on, your marksmanship is also good, and you can also dive. And that Mike, in addition to going to school, is proficient in other things, such as driving, shooting, fighting, and first aid. It can be said that those who can come to Extreme Island are not mediocre. Not to mention those who have left Extreme Island, even those who have entered Extreme Island are considered to be top geniuses. As for Mokian, what he is best at is shooting, well, diving also counts. After all, he was infected with characteristics, this thing can also be classified as talent. There is also physical fitness is not bad, after all, the heart has been strengthened. Now, everyone has learned about their respective strengths, and they can be considered to have a good idea. The next day, Mokian got up early and found a lot of people when he went downstairs. Many people had already started morning exercises. When they saw Mo Kyan, they all said hello. They introduced themselves and greeted him from all directions. Mo Kyan he smiled and remembered the names of those people. Soon, he walked to the beach and saw Du Xiao. At this time, Du Xiao was already splashing in the sea water, practicing swimming hard. Came at 4 o'clock and have been there till now. Good guy, he is indeed hard-working enough. As for what to eat in the morning? Sorry, they don't care about food in the morning now. If they want to eat, they will take care of it themselves. Well, it doesn't matter whether you go hunting in the woods or fishing in the sea, it doesn't matter, as long as you can eat. At this, Mo Kyan smiled, jumped into the sea, and soon caught 4 big fish. The fish are really big and you will feel full after eating one. And his roommates are all very well fed. While eating, they just waited for the instructor to arrive. Not long after, the instructor came. And when he saw everyone wearing training uniforms, he smiled slightly. It seems that you are not stupid, and you saved me from trying to persuade you to quit on the first day. Yibo looked at everyone, with a playful smile on his lips. Everyone was speechless. The training uniforms were placed in the room, one for each person. Seeing this, how could anyone not wear them? Cade, unless you are really unique. However, looking at Yibo's appearance, it seems that he has actually met such a person? Tisk. Of course, it's none of their business. At this time, Yibo said the number on your body, plus the class of 2018 and the 6th group in front, is your identity on Extreme Island. This number will always represent you during the training period. If someone successfully graduates, then this number will accompany you wherever you go. Everyone present understood. Once they become a regular employee, they will be officially established. Mo Kyan looked at the number on his body, which was 66. If the previous class of 2018 and the 6th group were added, it would be 201-8666. Okay, that's fine. At this time, I heard Yibo continue with this number, you can go to the test square to verify your project scores when you are free in the future. It will be recorded every time. Today, you will record the basic score, which is very important. With that said, Yibo led everyone to the so-called square. The square is very big, with more than 10 training grounds for practicing and everything. At the same time, there were a lot of people, and there were even many people queuing up. Most of the people here should be from this class, but in different groups. Of course, there should also be some students from the previous year mixed in. After all, you have to stay here for 3 years as long as you are not persuaded to quit. One class graduates every year, and a new class joins each year. This is the training base of Blue and White Club. At this time, Yibo pointed at the test square and said your belts contain your information. Every building here has required test items. The so-called required tests are what I said yesterday: liberal arts, science, and science. Work, shooting, driving, fighting, body, sensitivity, heart. These required items will be added in the future, but as long as one fails the assessment in the first year, there will be no future, and you will be transferred directly back to peripheral work. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the people present were different. Some were worried, and some were confident. At this time, Yibo continued to say, of course, you don't have to worry today. It doesn't matter even if you fail the exam. After all, we haven't started formal training yet, so it doesn't matter whether you are qualified or not. It does not represent your final results. Today, it is just for me to get to know you better and get a feel for you. Arts, science, engineering, shooting, driving, fighting, body, agility, and mind. Good guy. At this moment, everyone present was stunned. This is only the initial stage, who knows what else will come next. Moreover, I wanted to be promoted, you have to compete in 9 events. At this time, Mo Kyan thought about it again and suddenly asked report. Instructor, if there are compulsory exams, does that mean there are non-compulsory exams? Yibo glanced at Mo Kyan, nodded and said yes, there are also medicine, economics, psychology, strategic planning, extreme survival, disguise performance, etc. These are all elective projects. If you fail the compulsory exam, but if one of them is qualified, even if he becomes a peripheral employee again, he will be assigned to an important department. So, what level is considered qualified? Du Xiao also asked. You don't need to know, just do your best, Yibo said. Tisk, there's no accurate score? Mo Kyan muttered, who knows what Yibo is doing. However, they were helpless. Yibo didn't want to say, so what else could they do? Soon, everyone started queuing up to take the exam. According to Yibo, there is no need for special characteristics today, and special training will only begin around this time tomorrow. As for the exam, if you feel you are not satisfied with your score after taking the test once, you can actually rely on it a second time. Even if you take the exam all night long. As long as you see people tomorrow. If you don't see anyone tomorrow, well, needless to say, you will be eliminated. Yibo slipped away, but his words really made everyone feel relieved. Can he repeat the exam? Which means that they can have a lot of room for improvement and can take the test until they are satisfied. It is like brushing a dungeon. Anyway, it is the maximum value, which means that they can trial and error infinitely. At this time, Du Xiao invited Mo Kyan to take the driving test. After all, there were few people. But Mo Kyan was speechless. His driving skills were really not up to standard. However, he still went, he had to take the test anyway. Soon, he entered the training ground, and then he discovered that there was everything here. Motorcycles, cars, kayaks, airplanes, tanks. Those who didn't know better thought it was a military base. He also had cars. Knowing some principles, he could still start, drive in a straight line, and turn corners with no problem, but for more difficult events, he was fine. He didn't even bother to look at his score. Then he tried the tank again. Well, he was able to figure out how to drive. Finally, he got his own results. These driving scores all hovered between 1 and 3 points, and there was no one whose driving skills reached 4. Overall score, 2 points. He didn't care. He had a strong idea in his mind. And that you also finished the exam quickly, with a comprehensive score of 9 points, which was still very good. Soon, they met another acquaintance, Yanwei. Originally, Yanwei looked dark. He thought Yanwei had failed the exam, but who knew? He stepped forward and asked, "Good guy, the overall score is 21. At this time, Mo Kyan was stunned. Du Xiao was also stunned. Isn't it a 10-point system? Du Xiao was a little surprised. He felt that he had done well in the test, and the score was 9 points. He naturally thought it was a 10-point system. Especially when he asked Mo Kyan, well, he got 2 points in the test, and he felt even more so. But unexpectedly, Yanwei scored 21 points. Good guy. At this time, listening to Du Xiao's inquiry, Yanwei also felt a little weird, looked at Du Xiao and said, of course it's a 100-point system? Otherwise, where would I get 21 points? It's so strict, I thought I was good enough. Oh, by the way, how many exams did you take? Du Xiao was silent. Mo Kyan coughed lightly. What, let's take the shooting test. There is no doubt that among these events, the only one in which he feels he can get high scores is shooting. There are so many people lining up for the shooting. Du Xiao glanced at the pair of long queues over there and sighed. Wanjie said there are few people in line, but the waiting time is long. There are many people in line, but the waiting time is not long. After all, different projects, tests s difference. They agreed with this. Then, they took pictures at the shooting side. They even saw a few acquaintances starting to take the exam, among them, Mo Kyung's roommate Mike was among them. Not only did he take the firearms exam, I also took tests on throwing, crossbows, etc., and even vehicle shooting, remote control shooting, etc. This is also a big subject. It is actually very difficult to get high scores comprehensively. In fact, few people can do it so proficient. As expected, when Mo Kyung waited in line to enter, he saw Mike, who was still confident before, throwing darts with a confused look. Normal darts can be found anywhere. As long as you study hard and practice hard, hitting the target is not a problem. But, look at the target again. Good guy, in addition to fixed targets, there are also moving targets, and multiple moving targets. From 10 meters to 50 meters to 100 meters. 2, 8, 16, or even 312 targets. There are all kinds of targets, including common round ones, human-shaped ones, and even living targets, such as various animals. There are also darts, hook locks, grenades, and crossbows. Wait until they are all. After trying it out again and again, Mike finally cried and touched the gun he was most familiar with. It was only then that Mike regained his confidence and became somewhat calm. He checked the gun, went to the hall to pre-sight, and the posture was standard, all in one go. Waiting for the staff to say after he could start, he directly pulled the trigger. Da-da-da. The bullets were sprayed like tongues of flame, pouring out in an instant. 9 hits out of 10. Continue. The staff member spoke. Then, they switched to a 20-meter target. This time, Mike's accuracy was a little worse, but the highest was still 10 rings, and the worst was 6. At 30 meters, half of them missed the target. 40 meters, all missed the target. As for moving targets, obstacle targets, multiple targets, etc., although the hit rate is very low, what Mike has in his hand is just a revolver. There is no doubt that this level of accuracy is already good. After that, they changed guns again. In the end, Mike's overall score was 20. Mike was unwilling to accept it and thought that he had performed exceptionally. After all, his accuracy was not enough. However, looking at other senior students, what the hell, machine guns shooting at a target 100 meters away, the 8 and 9 rings kept shouting, and even the 10 rings occasionally. Good guy. Now, not to mention Mike, even the other people's mouths were twitching crazily. They rubbing their eyes, they were sure that the senior student was holding a machine gun instead of a rifle. They were dumbfounded again. Worry, what the hell is this? No backseat? Is it open? Then, the senior student started to hit the target again. That's it, all kinds of colors are mixed together and rotated. Whichever color the staff said, it will be shot. The key is that the turntable is very fast, and it turns completely white. But unfortunately, the senior student did not say that the gun hit. There were at least 7 layers of bullets falling on the corresponding colors. The rookies present were really dumbfounded. Then, Mike stopped talking and left silently. Finally, it was time for the next one. And the next one was Mo Kyung. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 315. At this time, everyone looked at everything on the Deo Golden list, and everyone was surprised. It's amazing. Is this the strength of a club member? Can this kind of target be hit? What is this? Even a poor guy can hit it with his eyes closed. Haha, you are a monk and they are mortals. How can this be compared? Tisk. These guys thought they were open? It's so funny that being strong means cheating. But that student is really incredible. If he were placed in the army, he would be a perfect sharpshooter. What sharpshooter? Haven't you seen people still feel like they still have flaws after the treatment? This was installed for him, task tisk. Alas, the next one will be Mo hee. I would like to see what kind of reaction these people will have when they face someone who is really cheating. Hee, does Mo shooting still need to be tested? 100 points straight away dash. 100%? Haha, 100 points is a hammer. If someone takes 100 points, they can only get 100 points. But Mo 100 points, that's only 100 points. In the face of absolute hit, any shooting is meaningless. Even if you hit the sky, you can still hit the bullseye. It's against the sky, it's really a bit against the sky. At this time, everyone was discussing and looking expectantly at everything that happened on the screen. But at this time, as Mo stepped forward, Mike also saw Mo. Mike said with a bitter face, Mo, how hard is it? It's really difficult. I used to think that I was good enough on the periphery, but I didn't expect that here I am, alas. The difference is really big. He was still complacent about hitting the target 30 meters away, while others had already started shooting at the target 100 meters away with machine guns. Damn it, it's like pressing him to the ground and rubbing him. Don't be discouraged, if others can practice it, you can do it too. Mo was also very emotional. To be honest, he was also shocked. That was simply outrageous. He could also see that the Blue and White Society's training in all aspects was really cheating. Let mortals also have the power to cheat. In fact, there are things worth learning from him. He took a deep breath and cleared away some distracting thoughts. Soon, he stepped forward and stood in front of the staff member. Choose a dart, the staff member spoke. Mo took a look and found that there were various styles of darts and knives here. At this time, Mike hadn't left yet. He was still shouting to Mo to come on. On the one hand, Mo was talking to Mo yesterday. He said that he was better at shooting. Naturally, he didn't think that Mo was better than him. He wanted to see what Mo was. On the other hand, he was looking at the senior members. The marksmanship of the senior members was what he wanted to see. Mo it was just by the way. Mo didn't care, smiled slightly, grabbed a more commonly played dart, and then threw it out. Toot toot. The next second, the dart landed directly on the target. The announcement also sounded. 10.9 rings. 10.9 rings. 10.9 rings. What is the concept of 10.9 rings? Ordinary people only know 10 rings and think that 10 rings is a perfect score. But what they don't know is that above the 10 rings, there are 10.1 rings, 10.2 rings, and so on, until 10.9 rings. It can be said that 10.9 the ring is a perfect score. Because there are number 11 rings. It can be said that Mo hit the target and got a perfect score on the target. Not only the 10-meter target, but even the 20-meter and 30-meter targets behind him, he was 10.9 rings every time. In the dart category, there is no target 30 meters away. At this time, Mo turned his head and looked at the staff member. The staff member glanced at Mo number, and immediately said 666, take that, come down and test the moving target. Mo nodded, then turned his head and glanced at the moving targets of 10 meters, 20 meters, and 30 meters. These moving targets were all regular, one went up and down vertically, and the other moved sideways. One is drawing circles. The speed is average, not very fast. Duo duo duo. Mo raised his hand, and the dart flew out. The announcement sounded again. 10.9 rings. 10.9 rings. 10.9 rings. The target hit, Perfect score. At this moment, the people next to him gradually opened their mouths. Next, Mo Kyan tried multiple moving targets, as well as multiple human body designated degree targets. In addition to the moving target 30 meters away, Mo Kyan aimed at it for a long time. The other raised hands are full marks. Even if it is a moving target 30 meters away, Mo Kyan can get full marks. It doesn't matter how long he aims, as long as he can get full marks. Well, after all, it is an absolute hit. Of course, this does not mean that Mo Kyan is cheating. This most of them were hit by him using his own abilities. The staff member looked at Mo Kyan, recorded it, and then said next item, grenades. For it. Mo Kyan was stunned for a moment, then turned around and asked, isn't it advanced? The staff member shook his head. No more, the darts are over here. Mo Kyan nodded, and then walked to the grenade throwing area. In the grenade throwing area, you need to accurately throw the grenade into a pot, and the mouth of the pot is only a little bigger than the grenade. Mo Kyan shook it slightly, and then the grenade was naturally a simulated grenade, the kind that would not explode. After testing the weight, he threw it casually and hit the target. The grenade also had movable pots, fixed pots, etc., but it was no challenge to him. Even the hook lock, he tested them one by one. Finally, he touched his favorite bow. As soon as he got started. What a bow! Mo Kyan looked at the bow in his hand with emotion. It was a bow made of an unknown material, that kind of handmade bow. He really liked this kind of bow. Fix the target first, the staff member said. Mo Kyan pondered for a while and then asked, can you speed up the progress? I still have a lot of tests to take. You know, this is my first test. Do you also know that it is a preliminary test? All projects Arakanti skip it, the staff member said calmly. Mo Kyan frowned and said again, don't hide the advanced items, put all the targets out, I will take care of it myself. You sure? The staff member narrowed his eyes and looked at Mo Kyan. Give it a try, I'm the best at crossbows, Mo Kyan nodded. Good. The staff didn't do any ink, and then directly released all the small projects related to bows and arrows. A series of targets lit up. Fixed targets, moving targets, flying bird targets, densely packed, there were hundreds of targets. Beware, these birds are fleeting, staff figure. As expected, as soon as those birds came out of the cage, they flew everywhere. Mo Kyan didn't have time to think too much, and he just bent his bow and knocked an arrow. Swish swish. The long arrow passed through an arc and hit 8 flying birds in a blink of an eye. None of them escaped, and they were all shot to the ground by Mo Kyan. This bow is so powerful. Mo Kyan sighed, and then continued to bend the bow and arrow. His hand kept moving, and the target kept reporting. There is no doubt that they are all 10.9 rings. The target hit the target, and the target got a perfect score. Along with the 10 rings and 10, the ringers kept shouting, and many people gradually gathered behind Mo Kyan. Then Mike also heard the movement of the 10 rings here, and thought it was a senior member of the club who was coming again, so he hurried over. Then, he saw when Mo Kyan arrived, he was bending his bow and arrow, shooting something he had never seen before. Damn it! He looked at Mo Kyan in confusion. Is this guy so unbelievable? However, just as he was stunned, Mo Kyan had already finished coming. Full marks, all hits. 666, next, crossbow. At this time, the staff member sighed with emotion. He looked at the groups in his hand and confirmed them again. He was still sighing. The number 6 means 6 groups. And he knows very well what the 6 groups mean. A group of pure newbies. But among this group of pure cute newcomers, a high-level player unexpectedly popped up. How weird is this? And listening to the staff, people around were also confused. Damn it, How big is this? Did the instructors shout 6? Is this the end of coming? Is this bow and arrow project over now? Hiss, 666, I almost want to shout 666. By the way, that's not what 666 means, right? Is this a number? For it? Serial number? Wait, he is from group 6. Damn it, 6 groups? Isn't this just cute? This guy. This new bow and arrow is so powerful. I've been practicing for 2 months and I haven't even seen the advanced items in the back. Did he pass with perfect marks? I thought it was a group of 1 or 2. The result is 6 groups. Awesome, this newcomer is awesome. At this moment, everyone looked at Mo Kyung in surprise. They seemed to be looking at a big boss. This guy was really tricked by Mo Kyung. But at this moment, Mo Kyung didn't care at all. He touched the bow in his hand, he still had some unfinished thoughts. Hearing the staff say that he could change the crossbow, he was still a little unwilling to give up and subconsciously asked, don't bows and arrows have those 7 color plates? Have. Even if there is, I won't give you extra points. Next item, the staff member curled his lips and said. Alas, okay. Mo Kyung reluctantly put down his bow. He really wanted to test his true level and see what he could do. But there is no 7 color plate for bows and arrows. Okay. He walked over to the crossbow and began to fumble with it. This time, he also asked for the opening of advanced projects, and he also got full marks. Soon, he walked to the pistol area again. Bang bang bang. The bullet slanted out in an instant, and the gun in Mo Kyung's hand was smoking, and he just put it down. And look at the target on the opposite side. Good guy, all 10 rings of the fixed target of 10 to 50 meters fell down. Even the instructor didn't react. He was still recording the last item. He raised his head when he heard the gunfire and found that it was already over. He was speechless and couldn't help but said, "Are you going to fight again?" Mo Kyung was speechless. He didn't say anything. He changed the magazine. Bang 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 gun hit. Still 10 rings. The staff member's eyes lit up. It was only then that he started to look forward to it. Cold weapons, after all, its damage is limited, far inferior to that of thermal weapons. Mo Kyung's high skill in crossbows is at best a bonus. But if thermal weapons can still reach the level of crossbows, the meaning will be completely different. There is no doubt that, Mo Kyung, who was shot twice in a row, has a terrifyingly stable shooting technique. 10 shots in a row, all 10 rings. Fast and accurate, stable performance. Good guy. The staff member said expectantly. 666, you choose an automatic rifle. Mo Kyung searched around, then frowned, turned around and asked instructor, are there no guards here? That's the only one I've ever used. Guardian, this is the gun Mo Kyung used in the research institute before. He is already very familiar with it. He doesn't recognize any of the other rifles. However, Mo Kyung's words made the instructor stunned. Guard, many students have never used the Guardian gun. After all, this is the Blue and White Society's standard rifle, which is not available outside. But Mo Kyung. The staff member thought for a while and asked, you have never used these gun? When you practice shooting, do you only practice pistols? No. Mo Kyung shook his head. Before I went to Meng Island, I had never even played with a gun. For it. The staff member hurriedly opened Mo Kyung's information, looked at it, then froze, and said in astonishment, have you ever experienced a containment breach? Is that when you started to come into contact with guns? Mo Kyung nodded and answered in the affirmative. The staff was silent for a moment, and then directly contacted the person to send the Guardian. Moreover, it was not just rifles, but also the Guardian series of howitzers, sniper rifles, submachine guns, machine guns, etc. Until after the gun was in place, the staff member said, "My surname is Sue, you can call me Examiner Sue. For the next test, you can use the name guard." Holding the familiar gun again, Mo Kyung smiled and asked Inspector Sue, "This gun is very easy to use. Will it lower my score?" "Won't." Examiner Sue shook his head. "For the time being, I'm only testing your skills. Once you've mastered one type of gun, you won't be bad at anything else. As for proficiency in all firearms, that will be tested next year." "Oh." Mo Kyung's eyes flashed, but he didn't think much, and then he started the test. Da-da-da. Bullets again. Firearms. The guns of the defenders are easy to use, and the bullets pour out. The main force in the back is also so familiar, and the strength is even more familiar. The gun hit, the gun scored perfect. However, after 10 shots in a row, the examiner suddenly asked Mo Kyung to frequently switch guns for target shooting. At the end, he often only fired 4 or 5 shots before asking him to stop. It wasn't until all the guns were tried that Examiner Sue said, "Okay, don't test the first to third level items, go directly to the fourth advanced item." Mo Kyung secretly thought, so that's it? No wonder I had to let him finish the fight, as Hezu could already see his accuracy. Skip the grade exam? It doesn't matter. At this time, with the abnormality here, even some veteran students gathered around. Mo Kyung's talent is really too evil. Just play well with bow and arrow. Does this gun also have such a heaven-defying talent? Advanced 4? This is something that some veteran students have not achieved. At this moment, everyone became more and more nervous. At this time, Mo Kyung also saw what the so-called Advanced 4 was. Advanced Level 4 is to achieve accuracy within the ultimate effective range. For example, if a pistol has a maximum shooting range of 50 meters, then the test of this pistol is a 50-meter target. This is the ultimate range, but it is different from a target of 20 or 30 meters. The extreme range means that the bullet will deviate 30 meters away, making it difficult to control accurately. If you can accurately hit the target with a pistol at a distance of 50 meters, it means that within 80 meters, you can blow up the enemy's head with a lift. This is the ultimate hit advanced assessment. And the same goes for rifles. So, at this time, bang bang bang. At this moment, Mo Kyung directly raised his gun and fired one after another, and the gun hit the target. At the same time, the sound broadcast continued to sound. 10.9 rings, 10.9 rings, 10.9 rings. At this moment, the voice announcement of ring 10.9 resounded in the ears of everyone present, like a magic sound filling their ears. Everyone couldn't help but open their mouths, and they were completely dumbfounded. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 316. At this time, countless people in the world were silent, and then 6. What the hell, just walk a 6. 9. 999. Tisk, I'm here at 6, what the hell do you mean by 9? Isn't this obvious? 6 turned over. It made me laugh so hard. Is it okay if I turn 6? Damn it, cheating, this is real cheating. Cheating, this is real cheating. Mo Kyung is really against the will of heaven, anything like this will work. Just sweep the whole place, right? At first, I thought Mo Kyung would be more restrained, but I didn't expect that this was so ridiculous. I cried to death. He is different from other sons of luck. Other sons of luck hide their strength and show off in various ways. But when it comes to Mo Kyan, good guy, he just stops pretending and starts to show off and slap in the face. Face. How can you call it a slap in the face? Isn't it because of this thorough examination? By the way, isn't this a bit too shocking? Why is it so shocking? Since Blue and White Society can list these projects, it means that someone can complete them. If it cannot be completed, why would others conduct such tests? Having said that, I still feel that it is outrageous. After all, I am a newcomer. This performance is really too outrageous. Haha, I will only use the crumbs that will definitely hit. It can't be said that before Mo Kyan had absolute hit, his archery skills were also very good. Having said that, it is definitely not as outrageous as it appears now. Although it is a cheat, the absolute hit is a passive effect, which is his superpower. If he doesn't use it, who will use it? At this time, countless people were discussing, looking at the impactful scene in the picture. At this time, in the picture, with Mo Kyan's absolute hit, the scene was deathly silent. 887 Are the newcomers monsters? At this moment, this thought flashed through the minds of some veteran students. Where did this monster come from? Did you score in the first or second group of the test? At this time, some people were shocked to see Mo Kyan's perfect operation. 6 groups. They knew very well that Mo Kyan was from the 6th group, not a veteran student from the first and second groups. But now, a newbie from the 6th group, surpassed all of them in groups of 3, 4, and 5. Against the sky, it is really against the sky. Even if Mo Kyan uses the guard, which is the standard weapon of the Blue and White Society, even if the gun is easy to use, it has to be let's see who can use it. It's numb. Everyone present is really numb. Damn it, he's already advanced to level 4, he's not going to take the advanced level 5 exam, right? Someone subconsciously said. I haven't even passed advanced level 4 yet. Some senior students looked depressed. What's his score now? Someone asked. Altogether, it's about 400 points, right? Some veteran students guessed. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the same batch as Mo Kyan, whether it was Mike, Du Xiao or Yanwei, were stunned. Isn't it a percentage system? Yanwei murmured. Mike and Du Xiao were speechless. What's your score? Du Xiao asked subconsciously. 60, Yanwei whispered. Du Xiao and Mike looked at each other and fell silent again. One of them scored 20 points and the other scored 8 points. Not to mention compared with Mo Kyan, what's more, even Yanwei can't compare. But Yanwei was also bitter at this moment. She asked why Mo Kyan was taking the exam so slowly. He had already finished the exam, but Mo Kyan was still playing with his pistol. When he came over to see it, good guy, she finally understood why the exam was so slow. Got it? The slower it is, the more it shows that it is contrary to heaven. It's just that she really can't figure it out. How can the gap between people be so outrageous? Her mother is a peripheral worker and she has been exposed to this field since she was a child. She thinks that her shooting skills are good. But when compared with Mo Kyan, well, this is a world of difference. 60 points. Du Xiao looked at Yanwei with emotion. That's amazing, you can rank second in our group. Yanwei curled her lips. Ranking is meaningless. Well, yes, rankings are meaningless, Mike also nodded in agreement. Cut, Du Xiao pouted. At this moment, Mo Kyan also rubbed his wrist, put down his gun, and turned to look at Examiner Su. Another gun master? Examiner Su looked at Mo Kyan with emotion, seeming to think of the past. What's wrong? Mo Kyan asked. It's nothing, your talent is really terrifying. Examiner Su sighed with emotion. Mo Kyan chuckled. Since Examiner Su said this, it means that this is still a level that humans can do, so don't worry. Well, he was afraid of being too shocking, so he was already somewhat restrained. Now, if you get an evaluation of terrible talent, then it's okay. Horrible talent is terrible. Anyway, he had a rough idea. In this blue and white club, there is no such thing as being coveted or jealous if you are too talented. There is no such thing as being suppressed. On the contrary, if you are talented, you will enjoy resources and be vigorously cultivated. So, he did this. 666, next to advance to level 5, at this time, Examiner Su looked at Mo Kyung, who was obviously more excited than before. Mo Kyung raised his eyebrows slightly. Expectation. What is this examiner looking forward to? Expecting that he will get full marks for advancing to level 5? He pondered for a moment, and then, he saw the tricolor disc rising slowly 10 meters away. Only 3 colors. Mo Kyung was startled. He still clearly remembered that there was a veteran student named 119 who started keys. Starting with the 3 colors, of course. Examiner Su said, it doesn't matter if you fail. I can give you one more chance. I hope you can give your best. As soon as he said this, Mo Kyung was already sure that Examiner Su was just looking forward to passing the exam. Tisk, 3 color plate. Is it difficult? Give him one more chance. For others, it requires a strong dynamic vision, but for Mo Kyung, he only needs to know which color he needs to play. 3 colors and 7 colors are completely meaningless. Don't say that he cheated based on his ability. This ability itself is part of his own ability, cheating. He would like to temporarily turn off this ability, but is it possible? Is this ability something he can't use if he doesn't want to? He only needs to aim, and he will naturally think of something in his mind. If he hits it, won't he hit it? And at this time, as the 3 color plate slowly rose, at this time, the people around him became more excited and more focused. Come on, advance to level 5. Even if you pass advanced level 4 perfectly, you may not be able to pass advanced level 5. This test is not just about marksmanship. If I can pass it, I can only say that a new king is born. The new king? 6 groups? Why do I feel a little dizzy? The rookie king of the 6 groups, tisk, I feel a little dizzy too. At this time, everyone was discussing, sighing, and looking at Mo Kyung in front of them. At the same time, in another place, in the simulation warehouse, the former 119 senior student finished the test and slowly walked out of the simulation warehouse. Seeing how lively it was here, he was a little curious and couldn't help but cast his gaze. When he saw the 3 color plate on the target, he raised his eyebrows slightly. The 3 color plate. What's so interesting about this 3 color plate? He almost passed after passing the 7 color disc. The 3 color disc can be passed perfectly. However, looking at Mo Kyung's face, it does feel strange. There is no such person in the 2nd group. Could it be that he is from the 3rd group? No, the 3rd group is meaningless. Most of the 3rd groups are wandering around the advanced level 4. If they are not from the 2nd group, not from the 3rd group, and not from their group, then there is only one possibility, and they are just from the previous year. Come here to show off the 3 color version in the first session? Come here to show off? He was a little speechless. Before he could think about it, at this moment, Mo Kyung fired. Bang bang bang. The bullets came out of the boring machine, and the sound of gunshots resounded throughout the training ground. Starting from the pistol to the machine gun, Mo Kyung emptied all the magazines. Stopped. Finally, as Mo Kyung fired all the guns, Examiner Su stopped the turntable. But as he saw, the high-speed rotating 3 color disc slowly stopped, and the red area was full of bullet marks. Looking at the colors of other surrounding areas, there is not a single bullet hole. One pass? He got through it? Success. Damn it, Did it really work? It's against the heavens, this is really against the heavens. Good guy, give it a try, what the hell? At this time, countless people looked at the scene in shock. Examiner Su also looked at Mo Kyung excitedly. Not to mention Examiner Su, even the examiners from other areas were very excited. Isn't it normal to pass the 3-color version last time? Why are you so excited? That 119 was a little confused. He found a familiar examiner and asked subconsciously. What last term? The staff member said 666 equals the historical record of the god of gunfighting. Ah! Did I pass it too? Why don't I see any records? 119 hasn't come back to his senses yet, his face is confused. Likewise, he doesn't know why he shouts 666. You don't know this kind of thing, but we know very well that the highest talent record in shooting in all previous preliminary examinations is the 3-color version of Advanced 5 in one breath, the examiner explained. Well, in one breath, a thorough test? Wait, you said a test, that 119's mouth is getting longer and bigger, and his face is full of confusion. Well, a test, the examiner nodded. Damn. At this moment, 119's face was full of confusion. Is this a newcomer? Are you kidding me? A newcomer entering the 5th level? He looked at Mo Kyung blankly, feeling that Mo Kyung was like a monster. When he recalled the time he took the basic test, the corner of his mouth began to twitch. At this time, Instructor Su also said to Mo Kyung 666, you have a score of 420 now. Do you want to continue? Mo Kyung thought for a while, nodded and said go on. Then, he saw the 7-color plate rising slowly. At this time, Mo Kyung didn't know what it meant to get 420 after passing the 3-color version. He just listened to the examiner asking him if he should continue, so he continued. He wanted to see what kind of advanced exams there were. 0. What level could his absolute hit reach in the blue and white club's assessment? Thinking about it, the 7-color board started to spin. Brush brush brush. The 7-color board also started to rotate. And the examiner also spoke. Blue. Mo Kyung didn't say anything, just raised his gun and shot. Bang bang bang. Da da da. At this moment, the sound of pistols and machine guns can be heard all the time. The bullets are like tongues of fire, spraying wildly. Finally, the bullets were completely exhausted, and the 7-color plate finally stopped. At this moment, the staff present looked solemnly at the 7-color board and the blue area of the 7-color board. When they saw the dense bullet holes in the blue area of the 7-color board, everyone's pupils shrank. Hiss. There were gasps of air, causing the temperature in the examination room to rise sharply. Not a single bullet landed in other areas, all in the blue area. 666, Examiner Su looked at Mo Kyung, a little dazed and dazed. A new record? Really set a new record? In fact, before, when Mo Kyung passed the 3-color version, he had already tied the record with the god of gunfighting. Whenever Mo Kyung has less than 6 bullets in other areas, it is considered a record. Yes, the god of gunfighting, during the 7-color plate test, 6 bullets hit other areas, but this is also a god. But now, Mo Kyung passed the 7-color board with full marks. Full marks. Newbie, full marks. Everyone present was confused. I was even more confused and shocked than when I saw the 119 7-color board before. But 119 is a senior student, so it's not surprising that he has this ability. But Mo Kyung is such a newcomer. This is a real-life test. Is there still advanced level 5? Is there still a 9-color board, Inkasked? Examiner Su subconsciously brought up the 9-color board. Listening to the rotation and the subconscious voice of the examiner, Amo Kyung raised his gun and shot without saying a word. Da-da-da. Bang bang bang. Bullet out of boring. Finished. After a while, Amo Kyung put down his gun, looked at Examiner Su, and said, "Ah. Oh, oh oh." Then Examiner Su came to his senses and quickly stopped the turntable, and then, at this moment, everyone stared blankly at the bullet holes in one of the color areas on the 9-color board. Full marks. What the hell is a perfect score? Damn it, advanced to level 5, he got full marks. 500 points. He's 500%. Damn it, he's 500%. His, 500 points. What the hell? At this time, countless people were exclaiming, and countless people were sighing. Rao, a 4.8 staff member, also fell silent. Any more? 12 color palettes? Or 16 color palettes? Amo Kyung turned to look at Examiner Su. However, Examiner Su looked at Amo Kyung blankly, and after a long time, he uttered 2 words: no more. No more? Amo Kyung was stunned, and at the same time, his heart skipped a beat. I can't clear the level, can I? What about Advanced 6? Amo Kyung asked quickly. There is Advanced Level 6, the Examiner Su came back to his senses and nodded. Oh, alright. Amo Kyung breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he thought he had cleared the level. So, what was your expression just now? Amo Kyung looked at Examiner Su with a strange look on his face. Examiner Su smiled bitterly and said with emotion, you remind me of an old senior, who also has the ultimate human talent in the rookie stage. Oh? Has anyone achieved this kind of result before? Amo Kyung was stunned. Yes. Examiner Su responded, many people advanced to Advanced Level 3 in the basic exam, but there was only one person who passed Advanced Level 4, and you were the second one. The senior before you scared all the examiners. Now, he has become the god of gunfighting in the club and a member of the Omega team. Sharp, Amo Kyung also sighed. He didn't expect that there really is such a defiant person in the world. However, the instructor's mouth twitched when he heard Amo Kyung's words. He didn't know whether Amo Kyung was showing off or doing something else, and he didn't care. Continued before, I thought you could tie, or break even a little bit, which is already very powerful. This means that each generation is getting stronger and stronger, which is worth celebrating. However, the previous senior's basic test only stopped at the 7-color board of Advanced 5. Unexpectedly, you raised the record to 500 points in one breath and passed Advanced 5 directly. Now, the highest record is you, with 500 points, and that senior is ranked second, with 420 points. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 317. Cheating. Cheating, what's so good about cheating? Tisk, even if someone cheats, that's still their fault. That is, cheating is also a person's ability, so what happens if someone cheats? What else can you say? That is, you can drive it if you have the ability. People start their own business. Amo Kyung has this ability himself, why don't you allow others to use it? This is called extraordinary talent. What a gifted person, you can do it. At this time, countless people were sighing. As for the so-called cheating, well, to be honest, Amo Kyung did fire. But, he didn't fire all of them. In fact, for the first 10 shots, Amo Kyung relied on himself. Prejudgment. Yes, it was his own prediction. In fact, when he was prejudging, he was thinking, if he missed, he would miss, and he didn't necessarily have to get perfect marks. Who would have thought that those 10 shots were really hit? At this time, Examiner Su looked at Amo Kyung in surprise and asked, how did you pass the exam in the first attempt? When Amo Kyan heard that he was civilized. He smiled and said, I am very sensitive to the speed of the target. In this kind of test, he will naturally not say that his eyesight is very good. Because this is not a question of whether the eyesight is good or not. If you can see various color disks rotating at high speed, it is no longer the eyes of ordinary people. This is definitely a problem. Therefore, Mo Kyan can only say that he is very sensitive to the speed of the target. At this speed, he can only calculate a model in his mind, predict it, and then hit the corresponding color area. Mo Kyan, his shooting talent is indeed very good. When he saw the color wheel, he knew what to do. There is no point in looking. You have to predict. Predict how many seconds it will take for the color wheel to make one revolution, and then stick to it. Where to hit in seconds. For example, if the point you need to hit is blue, then, just determine a point and calculate how long it takes for the blue to turn around. At this time, Mo Kyan also started to explain. I memorized the initial position of the color plate and was able to judge its speed through the pattern after rotation. The speed of the first section was 0.5 seconds per turn, the speed of 20 in the second section was 0.4 seconds, and the speed of the third section was 0.4 seconds. The speed is 0.25 seconds per turn. In the fourth quarter, it soared to 0.1 seconds per lap. In fact, my reaction was still a little behind, but after 2 prejudged laps, I probably got used to the speed. By the fifth quarter, especially the last 6 shots, the fastest speed was already less than 0.1 seconds. To be honest, I didn't expect to hit the last 6 shots, but I didn't expect to be lucky and I got it. At this time, Mo Kyan explained. Of course, he actually exaggerated some of his abilities. However, he knew the secrets of this very well. He knew the principles. If he didn't know, he wouldn't shoot blindly. If you don't understand and pretend to understand, that's the real problem. He doesn't just rely on his absolute hits, he has the confidence and vision. If he only relies on his own abilities and doesn't think about why, that's the same as having power. What difference does it make to other children? And such people are often the most dangerous. Gifted, indeed gifted, examiners suicide with emotion. Maybe it's a bit of talent, but it also has something to do with practicing bow and arrow all your life, Mo Kyan said with a smile. Examiner Su was speechless. However, Mo Kyan was right. After all, no matter how good your talent is, if you haven't practiced it, it will be in vain. Just like the senior he knew, others are also only with outstanding marksmanship and amazing accuracy can such achievements be achieved. No matter how talented a person is, it is impossible to accept a new thing so quickly and get started so easily. Well, in fact, it is possible. However, it is obviously related to characteristics. It's much more normal for Mo Kyan to be like this. The next step is to advance to level 6, right? Mo Kyan asked. He still wanted to continue. Well, advanced 6. Examiner Su nodded and started advanced 6 directly. At the same time, he explained advanced 6 only requires one gun, which is a sniper rifle. Swish, brush, brush. At this time, you can see that in the shooting range in the distance, countless human-shaped targets have been erected. They are densely packed, and they are all human-shaped targets for more than 600 miles. So many targets, someone exclaimed. Is it the shortest time to kill? I do not know. I haven't even passed advanced level 4, let alone advanced level 6, some people were speechless. At this time, everyone looked at the so-called advanced 6 with curiosity, and even the 119 was a little surprised. Is this the advanced 6? What is this for? At this time, listen, Examiner Su said advanced 6, the sniper rifle needs to hit one of the targets among so many people, which is the red dot. In addition, every time one person is injured, 10 points will be lost. If 10 people are injured, even if the target is hit, bullseye, also 0 points. Following Examiner Su's explanation, everyone looked among the densely packed human-shaped targets. Sure enough, they saw a human-shaped target with a dark red head that was completely different from the surrounding targets. The key is, the target is still there. Move, just jump around among the human-shaped targets around. Only occasionally can you see the corner of the red target, and then the red target quickly moves away. Countless people simulated in their hearts how to hit. Finally only then did I realize that it's so damn impossible. It's so difficult to find a suitable angle and a suitable position. It doesn't even work if you jump. When you jump, you can only avoid those close by, but not those far away. The key is the target was still moving, which caused some trouble. For a moment, everyone was in trouble. Amo Kyan was also in trouble. His absolute hit had no effect at this moment. This time, it was a test of timing. Finding a perfect trajectory is not easy. This level requires real skills. Can I move? Amo Kyan asked. Yes, but you can't leave the circle under your feet, the examiner spoke. Amo Kyan looked down and found that the so-called circle happened to surround the operating table. The operating table was filled with densely packed guns. The area was neither very big nor very small. It was about 3 to 5 meters. Amo Kyan searched for a while and found a big sniper. He started looking for a suitable position from all angles, and occasionally jumped up. The people around him were also making gestures, but unfortunately, everyone shook their heads and sighed. It's too difficult. If I can lose points, I will lose at least 100 points with this shot. Me too, my timing is amazing. You really don't give me any chance. Damn it, can't you take advantage of it? There are so many targets, and the moving targets move so fast. How can we hit them? Taking advantage of a loophole? How do you take advantage of this? The hostages in front were occasionally moving, and they were moving completely erratically. It was impossible to set up a gun at all. Everyone was speechless. At this time, Amo Kyan also encountered the same problem. The target moved too fast, and there were too many interference targets around. Sometimes he caught a glimpse of the red target, but it was not there yet. When the gun was raised, the red handle disappeared. Amo Kyan did not fire for a long time. The people next to him were not in a hurry either. Boom. Finally, Amo Kyan fired fiercely. Bang bang bang. The next second, all 9 targets fell down in unison, falling directly in a row. Look over there. Nice. Hit 9 targets, 8 black and 1 red. That's it? Instructor Su looked at it and said with a smile, when the last class of students first entered the 6th level, they all hit more than 10 black targets. A student from the previous class, Amo Kyan, was stunned. Yes, for the previous class of students, the year-end exam for shooting in the first year was Advanced Level 5, and in the second year was Advanced Level 6 and the following events. This level actually requires you to study for 1 year before you can pass it, Examiner Su explained. As soon as these words came out, everyone was still sighing. Amo Kyan has surpassed many people. In marksmanship, he even surpassed students who have studied for 1 year. However, at this time, Amo Kyan is still sighing. Others think he is pretty good. But Amo Kyan still thinks he still has more to learn. This is just for those who have studied for 1 year. What about those who have studied for 2 years? What about the year-end exam after studying for 3 years? Above Advanced 6 isn't there also Advanced 7? Advanced 8? Now that Advanced 6 is like this, what does Advanced 7 and 8 look like? There is also the last item, vehicle shooting, which is simulated in the simulation cabin. You can operate from tanks to helicopters and even control drones. Do you want to try it? At this time, Examiner Su asked. Okay, Mo Kyan nodded. He knew that the test of shooting with this vehicle is not to touch the weapon directly and lock the target through the screen. This is the extreme island. Naturally, you need to learn to the extreme and perform to the extreme. But you can't say that you can't touch the gun. It was useless. Therefore, the vehicle test had to be placed in it. Soon, Mo Kyan entered the so-called simulation cabin. However, this simulation cabin was different from the virtual ones he came into contact with on Meng Island. In real life, it's still a bit worse. Isn't it virtual reality? I've been exposed to that stuff before, and it feels like a lot of tests can be done in this virtual reality. Mo Kyan asked. Examiner Su shook his head and said, the technology is not mature, moreover, the cost is too high, and virtual reality can only be used for will testing at present. Mo Kyan nodded, and then he began to simulate shooting with various vehicles in the simulation cabin. For vehicle shooting, his results were average. I can't help it, it's too unfamiliar. The operation is very slow. The gun can be aimed, but how to aim the cannon on the tank? He didn't even know where the muzzle of the gun was, what kind of trajectory it was, and how to shoot it. An absolute hit is possible, but that's outrageous. It's impossible for a cannonball to hit someone in a roundabout way, right? Then he can only explain that the simulated warehouse data is wrong, and the results will not be included in the results. Finally, he finished the exam and scored 20 points. However, Mo Kyan also knew very well that practice makes perfect with this thing. In the end, his overall score was 518 points. It can only be said that his previous scores were too high. After shooting all the guns, his score had reached 520 points. In the end, the vehicle shooting lowered the overall score, but it was still as high as 518 points. Don't talk about newcomers. Even an old man who has been training for a year has to sigh when he comes. When Mo Kyan finished his exam, Mike, Du Xiao, and Yan Wei all gathered around. Everyone looked at Mo Kyan as if he were a monster. Good guy, 518 points. This is more than 10 ways to dump them. What should we test next? Mo Kyan asked with a smile. I remember you said last night that you have a strong will, right? I heard that a doctor gave you a high evaluation. How about we go test our will, Mike said. Before, he thought that a certain doctor was just being polite. Now after seeing Mo Kyan's operation, he didn't dare to think so. Maybe Mo Kyan's will is also very bullish? Okay, I have to take the 153 test anyway, Mo Kyan said with a smile. Soon, they went to the will test area. There were a lot of people here. However, the people in the will test area moved around very quickly, some in more than 10 seconds, some in 1 or 2 minutes, and it was over. Not yet when Mo Kyan and others arrived, Mo Kyan's last roommate, Yang Zhou, also ran over. Well, they had just finished the shooting test, and Yang Zhou went to take the shooting test. As a result, before they arrived, Yang Zhou, the exam is over. Have you finished the exam? Mike was stunned and looked at Yang Zhou in astonishment. Isn't this fast? We are not veteran students, so it would be great if we could get 20 or 30 points on the exam. By the way, how many exams did you take, Mike? Yang Zhou asked. 20, Mike said quietly. Damn it, you can only rely on 20? My 18 points are just 1 point ahead of yours. However, with 20 points, you should be the best among our 6 groups, right? Yang Zhou said with envy. After all, Mike is a professional bodyguard, so his marksmanship must be normal. Mike's mouth twitched and he said speechlessly, I'm not, I didn't, don't talk nonsense. Oh yes, I forgot that there are several professional soldiers in our group. You should be number 1 among amateurs. Yang Zhou said. He almost forgot that there were soldiers in their group. When he was running away before, he saw those animals, they were simply abnormal. However, Mike is also very good, the absolute number one among amateurs. However, Mike still shook his head quickly. No, she is 60. As he spoke, he pointed at Wanjie. Damn it, 60 points? Are you taller than a soldier? Wanjie was shocked. No, Mo is higher. Wanjie twitched the corner of her mouth, thinking about Mo score. She felt a little autistic. Oh, that's a good feeling. Yang. Joe smiled, looked at Mo and asked, Mo how old are you, 65? Or 70? Mike was silent, Du Xiao was silent, and Wanjie was silent. Mo tugged at the corner of his mouth and said nothing. Seeing everyone's reaction, Yang Zhou was stunned and said in amazement, damn it, you didn't get more than 90 points in the exam, did you? Well, more than 90 points, Mo nodded. Yes, more than 90 points, Du Xiao also touched his nose. Isn't it more than 90 points? Wanjie also curled her lips secretly. It's indeed over 90%, Mike sighed. What does it mean? Did I miss it and be stupid? Yang Zhou looked at the four people's reactions and scratched his head. Du Xiao hesitated to speak. Get in line first and talk about it later, Mo curled his lips. Come on, holy shit, Mo I didn't expect that your marksmanship is so good. Among our 6 groups, you are definitely the first. Yang Zhou said happily, as if he had won first place. Everyone was silent. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 318. Tisk tisk, this guy really doesn't know how many points Mo scored. Tisk, more than 500 points. If he found out about this, wouldn't he be scared to death? After all, my vision limits myself. Indeed, after all, our vision limits ourselves. He thought that a score of 90 or above would be unbelievable, but he didn't know that there was another one with a score of several hundred. More than 90 points, there is nothing wrong with this. At this time, countless people were talking and discussing in all the worlds. And in the picture, soon, everyone saw that it was finally time for Mo to test his will. There is no doubt that Mo will is indeed good. In this test of will, he not only tasted falling from a high altitude, but also tasted the pain of childbirth when he turned into a woman. In the end, he turned into a mouse and began to die in various ways. He was drowned, had his bones broken, he was eaten to death by other animals. Later, he even turned into a mealworm and began to be eaten by people and various animals. Finally, he was eaten by ants. In the end, he couldn't stand it anymore and subconsciously broke down. After entering the illusion, he was kicked out. After coming out, although he was still in a daze, he still had good self-control and knew that everything he had experienced before was an illusion. At this stage, he directly reached the advanced level 3. In the end, he scored 240 points. Of course, Du Xiao worked harder than him and entered the advanced level 5. At the end, he went into shock. It can't be said that Mo willpower was poor. Compared with others, Mo was missing a few points. The stage of collapse of will. Others will gradually move towards the point of collapse of will when they can no longer bear it, and they can persist for a long time. But Mo before his will collapsed, he started to shoot randomly, directly breaking the illusion. If he doesn't hit absolutely, he can actually pass the advanced level 5. Unfortunately, there is no if. But even so, he can still have more than 200 points, which is already very good. As for Du Xiao, that is completely risking his life. Fight. After the shock, I still have to rest for 15 hours. I don't know if I can catch up with the training tomorrow. I just hope that Du Xiao will fail in other subjects and barely catch up with the training. In the end, Mo Kayang is here. Mock exams were conducted in each event, and after he finished the exam, the comprehensive scores for each subject came out. 2 points for driving, 518 points for shooting, 240 points for will, 110 points for physical fitness, 85 points for reaction, 18 points for combat, 18 points for liberal arts, 10 points, 12 points for science and comprehensive studies, and 20 points for engineering. The total score is 1015 points. As for his roommates, except for Du Xiao, Mike's words are 233 points and Yang Zhou's 265 points. There is no doubt that Mo Kayang is in the 6th group. This score can definitely rank first. The main reason is that his shooting and will points are too high. As for physical fitness, it is because he has a twice strengthened heart that he is so high. At the same time, he also experiences here we are, how good is the food at Blue and White Club. There is a canteen over there for the physical fitness test. The main thing in the canteen is the seafood soup he drank before. It can greatly restore physical fitness, relieve fatigue, and even relieve muscle soreness. Adjust. As long as you are not injured, come back from a long run, drink some soup, rest for a few minutes, and then you can run a marathon again. The key is, the seafood soup is provided for free. What else can you say? Mo Kayang doesn't care about that much anymore. While there was still time after the exam, he began to exercise like crazy. When he was tired, he would have a drink and rest for a few minutes to regain his energy. Then he went to train again. When he returned to the dormitory, he still had enough energy and seemed to have endless energy. The same energy. However, his spirit was tired and he still had to rest. Early the next morning, Mo Kayang woke up and was very energetic. It was as if there had been no high-intensity training yesterday. Around 6 o'clock, I ran to the cafeteria to drink soup again and started exercising again. It was so great. Not only Mo Kayang, but everyone who knows about the seafood soup has the same choice as Mo Kayang. Of course, no one dares to leave at 7 o'clock, because they have to gather at 7 o'clock and take them to training. At this time, if you haven't come yet or haven't finished the test, you will undoubtedly not wait any longer. As for those people who didn't follow me on the first day? Haha, I'm afraid you've already boarded the plane by now, right? Mo Kayang didn't care. At this moment, Mo Kayang saw Du Xiao in the crowd. Xiao, Mo Kayang was startled. At this moment, Du Xiao didn't look as listless as he did after completing the will test yesterday. He was in high spirits. Have you finished the exam? Mo Kayang asked. Well, the exam is over. How did you do in the exam? Du Xiao nodded and asked. Good. Mo Kayang smiled and said, by the way, when did you come back? I didn't even see you. I'll be back at 6 o'clock. Du Xiao opened his mouth and immediately started to complain. They insist on me staying for 15 hours. I don't think there is enough time anymore, so I don't care about it anymore. Every exam I just rely on, and some only have 1 or 2 points. Of course, I took the literacy test seriously and got 130 points. That's okay, no need to worry about scores. Mo Kayang nodded, and then asked curiously, how much will you share? 402, Du Xiao said calmly. Ken. 402, Mo Kayang was a little emotional. To be honest, Du Xiao is considered to be extremely talented. Mo Kayang, I went swimming, I know how to do it. Suddenly, Du Xiao said excitedly. Mo Kayang was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, did you overcome your fear of water in the test of will? Du Xiao nodded. Mo Kayang smiled. It's good to see Du Xiao's progress. In fact, Du Xiao can do everything and knows swimming and other skills better than anyone else. But he is afraid of water. However, after walking around in the will test, and he had experienced fear, so the fear of water was no longer a concern. Immediately, Mo Qian began to exchange experiences with Du Xiao about the will test. Mo Qian exited from the advanced level 3. And Du Xiao reached the advanced level. Level 5. According to Du Xiao, level 5 deprives all the senses, leaving only painful feelings. You cannot move, see, smell, breathe, and can only think. And in this thinking, you can also feel to those pure feelings, such as pure itch, pure pain. And it was at this stage that Du Xiao collapsed due to the itch. He completely forgot about time, and didn't even know how long he persisted. In just 2 when people are communicating, the instructor is here. Quiet. As the words fell, everyone stood up. Everyone, follow me, I will take you to play with black technology. Yi Bo smiled, turned around and left. Everyone looked at each other and hurried to follow without saying a word. Soon, they passed through the forest, walked about 5 kilometers, and arrived in front of a lake. There was a small wooden house by the lake. There was also a large silver box that had been placed. Then, Yi Bo stepped forward and opened the box, revealing gems that were slightly smaller than a fingernail. The red gems were a bit eye-catching, layered on top of each other, and roughly estimated, there are at least more than 20,000 pieces in this box. Just when everyone was guessing what it was, they heard Yi Bo say, "This is a taffy stone. No one has 2 carats. Come and get it yourself." Taffy stones. Everyone was confused and subconsciously went forward to get them. Not everyone knew the taffy stones. But there were still some people who knew the goods. When they got 2 taffy stones, their faces were full of shock. Is this really taff stone? Why so many? As soon as these words came out, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. Some people were curious and asked what the taffy stone was. Then, everyone heard that person's explanation. Taffy stone is one of the rarest gemstones in the world. There are only 50 of them left in the world and only 20 of them are available for public auction. It is 1,000,000 times rarer than masonry. The kind that even money can't buy. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Even if you have money, you can't buy it? What the hell? There are only 50 of them in the world. What the hell is this? We have at least 20,000 pills, right? At this moment, everyone was talking a lot and their faces were full of confusion. Even Mo Qian was a little surprised when he looked at the 2 taffy stones in his hands. At this time, Yi Bo explained with a smile, taffy, although the stone is rare, it is not as rare as you think, because 99.9999% of the taffy stones in the world are in blue and white society. Good guy. Monopoly. Is this even more complete than the diamond monopoly? There are only 20 diamonds in circulation on the market, and there are only 50 diamonds in reserve in the world. And blue and white society has tens of thousands of diamonds in just one box. Tisk tisk. Could this be related to the contained items? Mo Qian guessed. Yes, he is related to the containment object, but it is not a containment object. He is one of the necessary materials for strengthening black technology. This thing can strengthen your talents in a short period of time. Within a certain period of time, you will make rapid progress in whatever you do, Yi Bo said. Not a contained object? Is it black technology? Du Xiao was stunned. Black technology. Mo Qian narrowed his eyes. He had heard about black technology before when he was on Meng Island. This black technology also has a separate name, universal abnormal characteristics. The so-called universal abnormal characteristics are those that can be mastered by everyone and are harmless. It's like a secret code for the universe, or a hidden cheat in the universe. So, The abnormality of taffy stone is its usage, Mo Kyung asked. Good. Yibo nodded. One of the black technologies handed over to you today is anomalous properties. The taffy stone itself is just a stone. If you understand, the material of the structure of the taffy stone can trigger a condition for universal properties. Mo Kyung understands. Others still seem to understand. Yibo didn't explain for the time being, and walked towards the crowd. Then, everyone was shocked to find that Yibo was gone. Yes, just like that, as soon as he got into the crowd, no one was there. Everyone looked around, but they couldn't see Yibo's figure. It was as if he had suddenly become invisible. Even Mo Kyung opened his eyes wide and looked for them one by one. But still no trace of Yibo was found, as if he had seen a ghost. Come on, tell me, what was this before? Suddenly, Yibo's voice sounded in the crowd, and then he walked out. Everyone stared at Yibo's appearance in confusion. It was as if Yibo suddenly appeared beside them, and there was nothing there before. No. And after listening to Yibo's words, everyone also frowned and pondered. Is this invisible? Is it some kind of supernatural ability? Escape? I feel a bit like escaping to the ground, disappearing in a swish. Optical invisibility. Everyone was talking, asking, and looking at Yibo curiously. However, Yibo smiled. This is not optical invisibility, nor is it hiding from the ground. It's just that I am standing in front of you, and you are paying attention. Not enough. What the hell? Everyone was confused again. So tell me, is my recessiveness just now considered supernatural? Yibo asked again. Some nodded, and some shook their heads. The ones who nodded thought it was supernatural ability. The ones who shook their heads just wanted to do the opposite, which was a little clever. Finally, Yibo began to explain. Although you can't see it, it actually works. As for the camera, it is easy to find. You can clearly see me walking slowly in the crowd. This is not supernatural or a containment feature. This is a black technology. In the club, it is called assassin pace. If you can use this technique skillfully and walk at a specific frequency, and you can make people around you ignore you. Skill, skill. At this moment, everyone was stunned again. Is this some kind of skill? It is said to be a skill, but it is just for the convenience of your understanding. This is actually an abnormal characteristic that subverts scientific principles, but it is not supernatural, Yibo explained with a smile. As soon as these words came out, everyone was confused again. It subverts the scientific principles, is it not supernatural? Isn't this contradictory? Knowing everyone's doubts, Yibo explained again. Does it violate science? Common sense is not the standard for judging the characteristics of containment. Even if a containment object can make Newton angry and lift the coffin board, as long as we can create something that can also lift Newton's coffin board, then it is natural. For example, it's like cultivating immortality. Cultivation of immortality violates the laws of physics, but everyone can control it. It is a natural thing. If one person can cultivate immortality and everyone else can't, then take it. To sum up, what you and I can do is natural. On the contrary, if something can be done but others cannot do it using the same method, it is supernatural and it is a contained object. No matter how absurd, strange, and contradictory nature is, it can be reproduced, created artificially, and controlled by everyone. It is called black technology. Contained objects are called supernatural, and black technology is called supercognition. With Yibo's explanation, everyone now understands. Not only everyone understands, but countless people in the world also understand. Oh? Is this called supercognition? Is this called black technology? So according to what Yibo said, those of us who are cultivating immortals are only on the natural side, not the mysterious side. Nonsense, people use nature, which is the kind of nature that everyone can achieve. Compared with different cultivation systems, we call it the cultivation side, the magic side, the technology side, but no matter what side, it is collectively called the natural side. And the one that contains objects is called the unnatural side. Oh, so you know it very well. Nonsense, I understand very well. By the way, Mo Kyung's universe has this kind of black technology, but does our world have this kind of black technology? Want to eat shit? Although it is black technology, although it is also supercognitive, you have to understand that in essence, black technology and contained objects are actually the same thing. There is no essential difference. It is just that these black technologies may be certain contained objects. It's just a common feature. Indeed, if we want our world to have this kind of universal feature, unless there are also contained objects. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 319. At this time, countless people were discussing and looking at everything in the picture. At the same time, in the picture. With Yibo's narration, new doubts arose as everyone understood. Just listening, Mo Kyung asked, as far as I know, many contained objects have a propagation effect, exerting some subversive effects on humans. Isn't this a rule? Doesn't it allow many people to have the same features? In a sense, this is considered black technology, right? However, Yibo shook his head, but that's not what we did. Let's take you as an example. Let you have the deep diver. The effect is a piece of wood carving, and we did it no matter what. Whether it is to create an identical wood sculpture or to create an identical you, it makes no sense. So far, we can still assert that the composition of matter has nothing to do with its characteristics. With that said, he motioned for everyone to look at the taffy stone in his hands, and continued, okay, you guys can accept and digest it yourself, and I'll talk about what I'm going to give you today, talent enhancement. You need to use 3 hammers to smash the taffy stone in your hand. No matter how broken it is, swallow it in the 80-hectare lake of Daewoo. Every 0.66 carat can enhance your talent for 20 days. The 2 carats in your hands are enough to strengthen your talent for 3 months. The specific multiple is difficult to judge. After all, it is based on the potential of your cause. In any case, with this increase in talent, you can make rapid progress no matter what you train. Within a year, most of you will be able to pass the 9 exams. If you really can't pass, we will not waste resources anymore. After all, this kind of black technology, the taffeta stone, will dissolve naturally under operation, so use a little less. For the time being, I will only give you 2 carats. After 3 months, some people will be eliminated based on your progress. Of course, it is also possible that none of them will be eliminated, so I will be happier. Okay, let's do it. With Yibo's long speech, everyone present was stunned. What is this? Crack the taffy stone, then swallow it in the lake, and then your talent will be enhanced? What the hell is this? Is this the taffy stone? Problem? Or is there a problem with this lake? Everyone was confused. Even Mo Kyung was a little dizzy. Seeing this, Yibo smiled slightly. Anything is possible with the containment object. The containment object in your concept may be an object, an animal, a tree, or a person, but in fact, the contained objects are far more than that. Some of the contained objects are even a sentence, a concept, or a scene, or even some phenomena that are common to natural laws. It might be a contained object. As for taffy stone, there is naturally no problem. There is no problem with the lake, and there is no problem with people. However, when these are combined, it becomes a characteristic, a rule, and a universal abnormal characteristic. This is black technology. Everyone was surprised, and someone couldn't help but ask instructor, "Are you sure this is not magic?" Even Mokayan was surprised and said, "I have also heard from members of the club that there is no magic in the world, but this so-called black technology seems to be called magic. Even though the process is a little strange, it seems to be essentially the same. This is like some kind of skill secret book. The skill secret book says that you need to find a treasure of heaven and earth, and then sit down cross-legged in a large lake with at least several hectares of spiritual energy, and use the broken heaven material to, if you swallow the earth treasure, you can strengthen yourself. This is exactly the same. Moreover, it can be used by everyone. What is this if it is not magic?" However, Yibo smiled bitterly. "No, this is not magic. Do you know why taffy stone is used? Because this was unanimously decided by the Global Council decades ago. Before that, Alexandrite was the necessary material for the ceremony." At this moment, everyone was stunned and became more and more confused. This thing can be changed. At this time, Yibo explained, because this characteristic depends on which natural color gemstones are the most expensive in human society, and which ones are black technology material. For it. Everyone suddenly understood, and now they understood what co-authoring meant. Then this is very special and not magical. Just listening, Yibo continued with emotion, and this characteristic was not discovered by the Blue and White Society, nor was it discovered by any country, but earlier, a certain secret sect was wiped out, and from their heritage found it in, who knows how they tried it out. Coach, are there many common features like this? Du Xiao asked. Yibo smiled vaguely and said, "Well, it's not too much to say too much, and it's not too much to say too little. Anyway, it is safe and controllable. As long as you are still on the extreme island, it will be handed over to you sooner or later." To be honest, there were actually some common features in the past, but those that were more harmful have been destroyed in modern times. At this time, Yibo sighed, seeming to have thought of some secrets. However, with these words, everyone was stunned again. What the hell? Can general features be destroyed? Yibo nodded and said, "Just find the right method. Some of them can be determined by humans, for example, defeating superstition, man-made terminal magic, making some general characteristics lose the triggering conditions, or making them extremely difficult to trigger, etc. This is what countless pioneers have done in the past. The so-called magic and the so-called gods are just abnormal characteristics. As human beings open their eyes, we look at the world more rationally. However, the most rational people never pray to gods, so the entire society has been transformed. It has become a civilization with a scientific outlook. Is that what you mean?" Mokayan couldn't help but think of the secret code for the Blue and White Club's connection that he learned on the world. "Do you pray to God for salvation? Humanity, open your eyes." "Well." Mokayan shook his head. "Okay, don't be stunned, let's go eat taffy stones," Yibo spoke. As soon as he said this, everyone wasted no time. They took a hammer and knocked the taffy stone 3 times. After breaking it, they all went to the lake one by one and started to eat the taffy stone. After all, this thing is, after eating the stone, there was an obvious foreign body sensation. It was like there was a stone in the stomach. Everyone felt very uncomfortable. They were waiting for it to dissolve, but the thing didn't dissolve for a long time, and everyone couldn't help but look at the instructor. Yibo laughed, said, "Don't look at me, I came here like this before. You must make taffy Aishi realize that you are training and trying hard to exceed your own limits, then it will dissolve." As soon as these words came out, everyone nodded suddenly, and didn't care so much. Since the instructor said so, let's do it. At this time, just listen, Yibo said, "Potential is potential, strength is strength. If you don't convert potential into strength, it means nothing. Once you start the extreme challenge, the taffy stone will dissolve and disappear and become your buff. Depending on how much you swallow, the buff will disappear after 3 months. But within these 3 months, I will ask you to exercise your physical fitness, hone your neural responses, and anti-hypnosis training in the morning. In the afternoon, you will learn driving, shooting, and fighting skills. In the evening, there will be cultural classes. Whether you like reading or not, your minds will be very clear, and you will understand the knowledge I give you like a genius. As Yibo narrated, he quickly brought everyone to a training ground. This will be the training base for the 6 groups in the future. The place is large and has various facilities. In addition to virtual reality, everything else is fully equipped. And here, there are still 9 people waiting for everyone. 9 people are all members of the club. Obviously, they are all Yibo's assistants and will teach these 200 people respectively. After all, there are 6 groups of 200 people, and their abilities are still high. The differences are uneven, and Yibo cannot stew them in a big pot, so he has to teach them in batches. In the following time, Yibo first taught these people how to train their physical fitness. It was the human body extreme training method. This used to be a characteristic. Later, it was improved by the 3rd generation president of the Blue and White Society and became a method that can be popularized. Of course, although it is a method, it requires a genius to practice it. And those who eat the taffy stone are naturally geniuses. This is not a problem. According to Yibo, Kayad, this exercise method is to exercise the body and reach the limit. On the other hand, the most incredible thing about this exercise method is that it can increase muscles. Yes, is to multiply muscles. The human body has a total of 639 fast muscles, and each one is useful. As long as one more muscle is added, it will be comprehensive for the growth of the human body. Because the neural network is more complex and more developed. Under normal circumstances, the reaction speed of the brain to convey instructions to the fingers takes 0.13 seconds at the fastest. But if the muscles on the arm are more than others, then the reaction speed of this nerve will be much faster than that of others. After a period of training, it can even break this reaction speed into less than 0.1 seconds. A normal club member usually has about 700 muscles. The minimum one has 690 muscles, so to speak, it is simply inhuman level. Although Yibo did not say that these people with 700 muscles are any different from ordinary people, Mokayan could imagine it just by thinking. Because the best horse in the world is also only 700 muscles. Of course, it is difficult to grow muscles. Only when they train their body muscles to the best condition can they possibly grow muscles. Moreover, this time will take at least half a year, and it is still blessed by taffy stone. Under such circumstances. At this time, taking advantage of his free time, Mokayan found Yibo and asked instructor, "My heart has been strengthened and my cardiopulmonary function has been doubled, but other aspects are still at the same level as before. If I start to strengthen finally, will I be unable to tolerate my cardiopulmonary function?" Mokayan is a little worried. His doubling increase is not constant, but increases as he improves. If his physical fitness improves, his heart function will also improve. By then, twice as much strengthening is not a simple improvement, but a burden. Now his twice the heart strengthening can last longer than others, just because his current body is still weak. But if his own physical fitness improves, it is impossible to fight any protracted war, he can only fight an explosive war. And if he wants to solve it? Yibo said the method is dead, but the person is alive. When you use the human body extreme exercise method, focus on training your internal organs. In this way, your internal skills will reach their limits earlier than your external skills. In the future, the newly trained muscles will also be more cardiac muscle and smooth muscle. In this way, your arteries and veins, detoxification, reproduction, digestion, breathing, etc. The system, hearing, vision, etc. will also be strengthened. In this way, you can adapt to your heart. In short, the human body needs to maintain balance. Once the limit is exceeded, every step needs to be cautious. Listening to Yibo's explanation, Mo Kyung suddenly understood. Next, everyone began to practice this extreme human body exercise method. Mo Kyung didn't know what others were doing, but Mo Kyung knew very well that in just one morning, he felt a significant growth, and the taffy stone in his stomach finally dissolved. From now on, in the next 3 months, everyone will be a genius. In 3 months, he will be waiting in Mo Kyung. Unknowingly, people have practiced hard and have passed. In these 3 months, every day has been fulfilling, exercising in the morning, and learning various techniques and knowledge in the afternoon and evening. Even though Mo Kyung is already very good at shooting, but in these 3 in the middle of the month, he still benefited a lot. He has even reached the point where he can reach the advanced level 4 even if he does not have an absolute hit. As for fighting, it is also all round, whether it is various weapons, hand-to-hand fighting, or you have to learn defensive counterattacks, etc. You even have to learn what kind of weapons the opponent uses, and how to break them when you use what kind of weapons. Blue and White Society has teaching materials for all kinds of weapons in the world. There are many other things. Of course, these are normal and natural things. They have learned these in the past 3 months. As for Yibo's volleyball transition and assassin steps? Sorry, I didn't teach you. It's not that I don't want to teach, it's mainly because newbies like Mo Kyung and others haven't learned it yet. Just like the assassin steps, this thing requires 12 skeletal muscles of the body to twitch at a specific frequency, and the walking posture also has strict requirements before it can be effective. And these 12 muscles are not commonly used muscles. Therefore, at their current level, they cannot learn them at all. They have to reach the limit of the human body first. Moreover, Mo Kyung also knows about a kind of muscle called eagle eye. Black technology. Hawkeye also requires very terrifying control over the corresponding muscles and nerves. As long as you control certain 4 nerves behind the eyeballs to twitch in turn at a specific rhythm, you can have the corresponding black technology. And these 4 nerves. That day, Mo Kyung ran up to Yibo excitedly and said, "I think I can do it, instructor, I think I can make the 4 nerves behind my eyes twitch." "Oh? Yeah. Then you really should learn it, otherwise it will be difficult for your marksmanship to improve." Yibo smiled and nodded. As soon as these words came out, Mo Kyung was stunned. "I didn't pass advanced level 6, is it because I didn't learn eagle eye?" "Good." Yibo nodded. "Those obstacles are all artificially designed. The rules are complex and difficult to summarize. And the perfect trajectory that appears briefly cannot be grasped by normal people's reflex nerves. It is possible to hit several black targets. After learning eagle eye, you can indeed beat advanced level 6 as soon as possible." Then, Yibo told Mo Kyung the triggering method of Hawkeye. The triggering method is very simple. If you don't know the situation, you will never succeed no matter how hard you try. But once you know the trick, it will be easy to get started. This eagle eye is a kind of dynamic vision. Although it is incomparable with the invisible assassin's pace, this eagle eye has another characteristic. It is the user who can see through the assassin's pace. The eagle eye can defeat the assassin's pace. There is no reason. However, this is not important. What is important is that Mo Kyung can finally try the advanced level 6 again. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 320. Advanced 6. Hawkeye. Of course, Hawkeye is not that easy to train, and there is no rush to advance to level 6. Because, at the expiration of these 3 months, there is another incident, that is, the persuasion incident. In 3 months, the students in the 6 groups have undergone earth-shaking changes. However, as the project progresses, the progress of many people has obviously slowed down. Naturally, the slowdown did not meet Yibo's expectations, so naturally, he needed to be persuaded to retreat. On this day, Yibo asked everyone to gather. He held a list in his hand, looked at everyone, and said calmly, no matter what organization you are placed in outside, you are all at the top level of Suyu. Next, the names are read, it's time to leave. With that, Yibo started to read out names, a long list of 60 people. Among them, there are also soldiers who were born, and the women were almost persuaded to quit, with only 3 left. After reading, Yibo looked at everyone and said, you can go to the major bases to report. However, the more than 60 people were not calm and looked at Yibo in shock. Go report? Become a disciple? To put it nicely, this is trying to persuade them to retreat. This is clearly elimination. But they couldn't understand why they were eliminated after they had practiced hard for 3 months. Instructor, I get up at 6 o'clock every day and study and communicate with each other until 10 o'clock in the evening. I never slack off. Why? Why was I eliminated? A student couldn't help but ask. Yibo glanced at the man and said, you are indeed working hard, but I said that after 3 months, some people will be eliminated based on your progress. Among most people, the improvement efficiency has not met my expectations, and for you, the areas that are lagging behind are science, engineering, and manufacturing. Science and engineering and manufacturing? The student was stunned for a moment, then said unconvinced, but my physical fitness and fighting skills have improved a lot. Yibo nodded, yes, you have indeed made progress in this area, even beyond my expectation. However, these 9 items are compulsory exams. Official members cannot be partial to subjects. If you are partial to subjects, then you are only peripheral. The member's unique skill. The student's mouth twitched. You have been obsessed with physical exercise for the past 3 months and have neglected science and engineering. You think it is a trivial matter and you think you can learn it later. However, in front of the containment object, you will not be allowed to learn it later. Yibo said calmly, in front of the contained objects, no matter you are a peripheral special skills brother or a formal member's special skills brother, you will be treated equally. Damn it or die. On the contrary, maybe there is some knowledge you don't know that may save your life. Therefore, formal members must be proficient in every subject and make significant progress in each subject. Nothing can be left behind, understand? Those who were eliminated hesitated to speak. Yibo looked at these guys and said again, haha, don't be unconvinced. As I said before, no matter how good you are in a certain aspect, will you be able to contain objects? No matter how much you practice to the extreme, can any containment object be perfect? Not to mention 3 months of training here, even 3 years, when faced with a contained object, there is a chance that none of the skills will be used and the person will die at the hands of the contained object. With Yibo's words, most of the people present opened their mouths and fell silent. What the hell is this? You have practiced here for 3 years and are nothing in front of the contained objects? What the hell is training here? At this time, someone couldn't help but ask, no matter how much we practice, we can't compare to the containment, so what's the point of our practice? Yeah, does this still make sense? At this moment, it's not just him, but also more people. As for Mokayan, he is silent. He knows this very well. Ever since he saw Dowdy swallowing up the members in one gulp after doing it, he understood. Normal methods, natural things, are really difficult to have miraculous effects on contained objects. But Mokayan is Mokayan, and others are others. Mokayan knows this very well, and he also knows this. I just came to Extreme Island a little while ago. Others still thought that after they came to Extreme Island and practiced, they would be able to effectively deal with contained objects, and they would definitely learn some abilities to fight against contained objects. But now, with Yibo, the point was broken, but everyone's mentality exploded. In short, this is the fact. I can be responsible for what I say. Who still thinks that learning this is meaningless? Yibo looked at everyone. Some people still couldn't believe it. How is it possible that none of them can be used? Don't we have an effective magic weapon to fight against contained objects? Yes, if this is really what you said, then why are the requirements for official members so high? If this is the case, doesn't it mean that everything we do is meaningless? Might as well wait to die. At this time, everyone was talking all over the place and their faces were very ugly. Hee hee. Yibo sneered. How can there be so many reasons? If you don't want to live, then just die. Heaven is always in its course, and it will not exist for Yao, nor will it perish for Ji. There are always countless dilemmas and doubts in the world, but who can we ask? Who can you rely on? God. Haha, it's not like I haven't been slaughtered before. We can't fight in the areas where the contained objects are good at, but that doesn't mean we should just surrender. The Blue and White Society has contained countless people, and the world has been relatively peaceful so far. It relies on fragile humans who can be instantly killed by the contained objects at any time. Although being proficient in various abilities is meaningless in the face of contained objects, only by being proficient in them all can we have more choices and see a way out in critical moments. Even, to this day, official members are still learning new knowledge and new skills. Maybe, a certain skill saves your life that day. Controlling contained objects and protecting humans has never relied on strength. Rather, it relies on the three basic qualities of Blue and White members: wisdom, responsibility, and sacrifice. Wisdom, using all available things and using them in a reasonable way, is the brilliance of human beings after they open their eyes. Responsibility is to contain, to control, and to protect. Whether they are soldiers on the front line, researchers in the base, or referees, no matter what happens, everyone must unswervingly perform this duty. As for sacrifice, it is the determination to persevere to the last second when there is no choice, and the belief that observation and responsibility will last until death. At this moment, with Yibo's words impacting everyone's minds, some people were in a daze. Without saying anything, Yibo started to call names again. Yangzhou, Baiyun, Weeks, Schneider. He called the names of 40 people one after another. Immediately, Yibo said calmly, "You can leave Extreme Island." These people were in a daze after Yibo's words. The reason why he is in a daze is because his will is not strong enough. The reason why they were eliminated was because they were not strong-willed enough. Of course, if they think better of it one day and become more determined, they can come again, but not now. Now, another 40 people have been eliminated. In addition to the more than 60 people before, half of the members of the 6 groups have been eliminated today. Even Yangzhou, one of Mo Qiang's roommates, was eliminated. Mo Qiang glanced at Yangzhou and said nothing. After a long time, the team disbanded. Those who were eliminated naturally got on the plane back. Mo Qiang and others naturally went their separate ways. Unexpectedly, Yangzhou actually backed down. Du Xiao came to Mo Qiang's side and said with emotion. Mike also sighed. To be honest, I thought the Blue and White Club had some trump cards before, but it doesn't matter anymore. If you don't have it, then you don't have it. Mo Qiang, what do you think? Du Xiao looked at Mo Qiang again and asked. No idea. Leader Mo Qiang said, long before I came here, I knew how high the death rate of commune members was. Why, you don't have this concept? Du Xiao and Mike were a little confused by these words. Good guy, you know that the members are like ants in front of the containment objects, but you still choose to come here? How did this brain circuit grow? Is it so novel? No. Have you experienced many containment incidents, Mike asked in shock. You don't have to go through too much, just stay once is enough. If you see a club member as powerful as Superman being eaten by a monster in one bite, you will understand, Mo Kyung said quietly. To be honest, Mo Kyung has always been aware of this. He came to Extreme Island just to learn his skills. Of course, all his skills are to serve absolute hits. He knows very well that even if he practices, no matter how strong he is, he can't have absolute hit power. Therefore, he has always known his trump card and what his real ability is. Only by better exerting his absolute hit ability can he have success in this world. Have the ability to protect themselves. In the following days, Mo Kyung and others still spent time in training. Sometimes they even slept directly on the training ground. At the same time, after this large-scale dissuasion, Mo Kyung and the others were, and continued for another 3 months. Stimulated by this wave of persuasion to quit, the rest of the people became even crazier and worked harder. They were afraid that they would be eliminated. But 3 months later, the 6 groups were eliminated again and 20 people. And these 20 people were all relatively weak in talent, and Yibo went directly to persuade them to quit. Of course, if these people are confident, they can actually stay. It's a pity that they just lack self-confidence and were directly persuaded to leave. As for Mo Kyung and others, they have become veterans long ago. No matter what Yibo persuaded, they stayed here. At the same time, they also discovered that Yibo seemed to be trying to persuade others to quit in a bad way, making it seem like they were really good and rubbish. However, after seeing through Yibo's approach, it was absolutely impossible for them to leave unless they were really unqualified. 0 request for flowers. Just like this, without knowing it, they have been training here for a whole year. During this year, in addition to honing themselves to the extreme, they are also exposed to the assassin's pace and eagle eye. Finally, on this day, they will facing the first year-end assessment. As for how many exams are required to be considered qualified, Yibo didn't say. Yibo stood at the front of the crowd, looked at the remaining 80 people and said, you just try your best to take the exam. When you pass, you will be infected with a special effect. That effect is safe and a necessary skill, with endless uses. Is it a kind of emptiness that every club member experiences? Someone asked out of curiosity. Yibo nodded and said with a slight smile, the new characteristic of the infection is indeed the air travel, but the club calls it the sweet air wall. If any of you can't stand sweets, you can leave. Everyone pouted again. If you can't stand sweets, can you leave? Just go away. I will die on the extreme island. Did you start learning this in the 2nd year? Sweet air wall. Mo Kyung murmured. By the way, are there any new people here today? Suddenly, Mo Kyung asked the 2 of them. Well, it seems like today, Du Xiao nodded. Let's go, take advantage of the fact that there is no test yet, and go get some game tomorrow. Mo Kyung smiled, turned around and went to train. As soon as these words came out, their eyes lit up and their mouths watered. Du Xiao couldn't help but ask, then why don't you go now? Not released yet, Mo Kyung pouted. As soon as these words came out, the 2 of them had no choice but to suppress their greed and follow Mo Kyung to train. The day passed like this. Early the next morning, Mo Kyung got up early and went to the woods, planning to hunt. Mike and Du Xiao naturally followed. Today was the time for the assessment, but they were not in a hurry. Anyway, it was a long day, so they went hunting for game first. Soon, a group of 3 people met a wolf in the woods. The big python. Without saying a word, the 3 of them took care of the big python and roasted it on the fire. The food made everyone's mouth water with oil. It was delicious. Although it was just a roasted snake without any condiments, but the food they eat is delicious enough. There is no way, on this extreme island, if you want to say that the food of blue and white society is good, It does have soup to restore physical strength. But if you want to talk about other aspects, it is extremely bad. It's either porridge or porridge. They almost vomited after eating the soup. They used to drink it happily, but after drinking it for a year, they felt like vomiting when they saw the soup. Now they just drink the soup purely as medicine. Meat. It's so funny, you can eat meat. There are ghosts. The animals on this extreme island are released by the members. They are released every time a new person comes. In the past, those animals were all taken over by the previous groups or people from the older generation. Now, Amokayang and others have been training for a year, and they are somewhat capable. They can take a share of the pie. But it's just such a snake. That's it? Did the fifth group and others sweep this place overnight? Du Xiao frowned. What the hell? Did they eat it all? Mike was stunned. There will definitely be more to eat, not to mention what is left for the newcomers, at least there must be a lot hidden in their camp. Let's go take a look later. Today is the assessment, there should be very few people, and the camp defense is empty. We can take the opportunity to steal some meat back, Amokayang said with a smile. This. Mike hesitated, but we also have to take an exam. After eating the snake, shouldn't we go to the exam area? No hurries. Newcomers have to take a preliminary test, so they have to queue up so early. Did you forget that when we take the preliminary test, after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the number of newcomers will gradually decrease? It's not too late to go then, Amokayang said. Oh, that's true. Mike nodded, then frowned, and said, just the three of us, if he was caught by the fifth group, wouldn't he be beaten up? What are you afraid of after a beating? As long as you can eat meat, Du Xiao also grinned. Soon, they secretly went to the fifth group camp. Although the fifth group was also from their class, their identities were different. Some people even studied 3 on Extreme Island. You was just eliminated and came back for the second time. And the treatment of these old people is different from that of pure newcomers like Amokayang. They only have campsites, and Amokayang and others have apartments. Looking at the camp of the fifth group, Mike whispered, are we going to sneak in like this? Surely they all have eagle eyes. Who has nothing to do to open eagle eye? That thing is very nerve-wracking. If I insist on it for 10 minutes, I have to rest for more than 10 hours. I only use it when I practice shooting. Amokayang whispered. Du Xiao also nodded and said this is because Amokayang started earlier than us. I can only hold on for 3 minutes. Mike also nodded. After a little distribution, Amokayang smiled, raised his feet, and walked towards the fifth group of camps.